It was the 5th inning last night. The classic at-bat for Matt Williams versus Steve Wilson. And on the 12th pitch, the 4th game was to be decided. In the 9th, time for desperate measures for a desperate ball club. Sandberg led the way. And then the little pop fly that might have been the final out for the Giants, agonizingly spilling out of Robbie Thompson's glove, and the Cubs were alive. And then the moment of truth, the ultimate confrontation. Cy Young winner, most valuable player, bases loaded, game on the line, and it was over. The Giants exulting in the high of victory, and the Cubs tasting the dregs of despair. And the Giants led 3 games to 1. Welcome to Game 5 of the National League Championship Series between the Chicago Cubs and the San Francisco Giants. Another glorious day in San Francisco. Temperatures flirting with the 80-degree mark, and a light breeze which so far has not even rippled the flags at Candlestick Park. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully along with Tom Seaver, and I know there are a lot of numbers about this game, but to put it on the line, if I were Mike Bilecki, I'd be scared to death.
Much of the factors of every game in this series has been the first inning. It was a factor last night. We saw both clubs jumping right out of the starting blocks, getting on the board. It's going to be a factor for both pitchers today. Mike Bilecki has got to keep his team in the ballgame. Remember when Rick Russell pitched in Chicago, boy, they jumped all over him in the first inning. He only got 2 outs. He was out of there in the first inning.
Well, Russell has a comfort zone. He's not carrying the whole load. For Bilecki, he either wins, helps the Cubs to stay alive, or they all go home.
Well, he was admittedly very nervous in his first game that he pitched in this championship series, and he's got to get his feet on the ground today.
The pitching has been perhaps the biggest disappointment for each team.
Well, the starting pitching especially, it's been, everybody talks about it being mediocre. What's happened is that the pitcher's getting behind in the count, and a lot of times when they get behind in the count, they're making very poor pitches. You know, you could say it on the other side of the coin that the hitters are taking advantage of the plus situations they have when they get the pitchers behind the 8 ball.
Well, the Cubs have been behind the 8 ball. They've had Ryan Sandberg and Mark Grace. The Giants have had Clark and Mitchell and Williams. We'll get to the starting lineups right after this.
Game 5 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by new Keystone and Keystone Light. Bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great? By your Toyota dealer. Whatever car or truck you choose, you'll love the quality. Who could ask for anything more? By Allstate. For home, auto, and life insurance, you're in good hands with Allstate. And by the good time, great taste of McDonald's.
More than 90 pages of features, historical facts, and photos from the Fall Classic, this program is truly a collector's item. To get yours, send check or money order for $6 to World Series Program, Box 89, Trenton, New Jersey, 08651. That's Box 89, Trenton, New Jersey, 08651. Please be sure to include your proper return address. The preceding announcement was furnished by Major League Baseball.
The weather has come up magnificent here at Candlestick Park, and here's the Cub lineup. Jerome Walden, Ryan Sandberg, and Marvell Wynn replacing the injured Dwight Smith. Mark Grace, then you have Andre Dawson, Luis Salazar, and Sean Dunston. Joe Girardi, who caught Bilecki in Game 2, is behind the plate. And trying to stop that lineup is one of the great Cub pitchers of all time. Since World War II, second to Ferguson Jenkins. He won 135 games in the livery of the Chicago Cubs. He has not pitched well of late. One big reason, he had a strained right groin. And those who watch him carefully say it has definitely affected his sinker. He starts a strike to Walden. One of the things that Roger Craig and Norm Sherry will be concentrating on is to make sure Russell bends his legs. He's been pitching stiff-legged, perhaps the result of the injury. 1-1.
The word on Rick Russell is that we will know very early if in fact he has his stuff. As you see his motion, one of the things he'll have to do is try to get down, as Vinny says, and use that right leg as much as he can. He tries to get great movement on his fastball. He may not strike you out with velocity. He may have 4 or 5 fastballs a day that might get the 90-mile-an-hour zone. But for the most part, it's a sinking fastball and a little breaking ball. The word on him in those is that if he doesn't have it, we're going to find out very early, and that's exactly the way it was when he pitched in Wrigley Field in game number 2 for the Giants.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Jerome Walden. Curveball hit foul. For Russell, those who operate speed guns on him marvel with the same delivery, throwing to the same location. He can go from 90 to 78 miles per hour in a blink of the eye. And Walden that time way out in front and cracked his bat. He has to get another stick. And look at that. He dropped to 72 miles an hour on that pitch. That's the biggest thing about him, his control and the tremendous fall off in speed. Walden with 2 strikes, and Matt Williams now goes back to a normal depth. Walden, very good bunter. He had 18 bunt singles, 30 infield hits. But with 2 strikes, they drop back. Fastball hit up the middle. Robbie Thompson hesitates, throws too late. He didn't have a grip, and he double clutched. And that was the difference. That split-second double clutch by Robbie Thompson as he had to re-grip the ball, and Walden is aboard.
Russell is one of the best fielding pitchers in baseball. That ball was actually not hit as hard as he thought it was. If he had not double clutched, he'd have gotten Walton at first base. Walton with good speed during the season, 24 stolen bases, so he has good speed. I think Russell was surprised that the ball was not hit that hard. He is an outstanding fielder. Don't be surprised by looking at his size and think that he cannot field his position. He is one of the best athletes for pitchers in the game. He's a good hitter, a good bunter, and very quick on his feet.
Ryne Sandberg, who has hit in all 9 league championship games with Walden going, hits it foul down the line. Remember, the Cubs have scored 11 runs in the first inning in the first 4 games, and they are desperately trying to get off the mark today against Russell.
Setting the defense for the Giants, Mitchell, Butler, and Sheridan. Matt Williams, Jose Uribe, Robbie Thompson, and Will Clark on the infield. Kennedy doing behind the plate doing the catching, and Rick Russell. The change the Giants have been made has been in right field. And Sheridan, Maldonado.
0-1 to count to Ryne Sandberg. In that disastrous first inning at Wrigley Field, Russell was touched up for a triple by Sandberg, 5 hits, and the Cubs scored 6 times in that first inning. On the corner, gave him a little bit of sidearm with a wrinkle at the end of it, and as he's been doing all series, Sandberg gave on it.
Russell does not have a deadly curveball that will freeze you, and this really shows you how Ryne Sandberg just does not seem to be able to pick up the rotation on the ball. He did it all last night.
0-2, way outside. Big save by Terry Kennedy, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. On deck, Marvell Wynn.
Looked like a curveball that Russell got on the side of. Going to try another breaking ball against Sandberg and really pulled it.
1-2. And another flat curve, but outside. 2-2, the count to Ryne Sandberg. The Cubs have hit for an average. In fact, the Cub team is hitting over 300 in the 4 previous LCS games played this year, but it hasn't helped them as they've lost 3 of the 4. 2-2. Remember, Walden was going on the first pitch to Sandberg. They're not particularly looking for any pitch out now. 2-2.
Good pitch to do something on. Russell is not a strikeout pitcher. Sandberg does not strike out much. Remember that Russell has an outstanding move to first base as well. One, if not the best move in the National League to first base for a right-hander. That'll negate a little bit of Don Zimmer's running game. He would incorporate the hit and run more than he would the straight steal.
2 balls, 2 strikes. We'll see fastball. Yep. Half swing. Got it. You had to expect the fastball, but I don't think Sandberg expected it where it was.
For 2 nights, 2 games, Ryne Sandberg has seen nothing but breaking balls away. He's got to be thinking away in this situation, and we talked about where every once in a while Rush will pumping it up and give you an 88 or 85 mile an hour fastball. That one at 83, but the location was perfect on the inside corner.
Here's Marvell Wynn. Wynn hitting over 360 against Russell in their own personal confrontations. When Russell and Marvell Wynn were teammates with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The third member was Mike Bielecki, so we have a definite Pittsburgh flavor to this game today. Pitch out, and Walden holding despite the fact it was dropped by Kennedy. When the count was 2-2 to Ryne Sandberg, you expected Walden to go, and you certainly expected Russell to throw the fastball to Kennedy. But what fooled Sandberg was that it got the inside corner. 1-0 to Marvell Wynn. Mark Grace on deck. Popped it up. Coming down is Clark. Angling over, however, is Kennedy. Two down in the first inning, and Mark Grace will be coming up. A lot of people in the Midwest like to come to California on vacation, but that would not include the Chicago Cubs. In the playoffs in '84 and this year in '89, they went 0 for 3 in San Diego. They're 0 for 2 in San Francisco, so they're 0 for 5 in the state. Grace hitting .333 against Russell. Good sinker. 0-1.
Russell, an outstanding off-speed pitch. This is the changeup. You can see it just die. Will come up and look like a fastball. Velocity-wise, will not get there.
Grace, a fine hitter, and has enjoyed a great deal of success here at Candlestick Park. He's hitting just under .400 here at Candlestick. 0-1. Sinker away, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Talking about the change of speeds that Russell will use, a fastball in the mid-80s and occasional 88 or 90. The changeup, as you saw, about 70. Many times it's not how hard you throw, but the difference between the velocity of your changeup and your fastball can be equally as effective as a Nolan Ryan fastball.
Walden committed and just did get back. So Jerome Walden.
Boy, he had him dead to rights. Walden taken off, and I don't think Rick Russell saw him to begin with. Stepped off. There wasn't a need really for him to step off. Just looking out of the corner of his eye, he may not have been able to see the entire picture, and a good job by Walden to get back in.
1-1 to count to Mark Grace. And he goes the other way, hits it foul down the line and slicing back into the seats. And the count 1-2. Naturally, you feel that all of the pressure is on the Cubs. They must win or it's all over. But the Giants know their own history. The Giants, like the Cubs, have had their share of skeletons. They got into the '62 World Series and lost. Got into the '71 League Championship Series and lost. Got into the '87 League Championship Series and lost. 1-2. One of the more inspirational people in the ballpark for the young Giants today. One of the all-time greats. And Willie Mays out here taking in the game. 1-2 to Grace. Lined into right field. Coming up is Sheridan. It's in front of him for a base hit. He slips and falls down, but Walden was going to third anyway. And so the Cubs, thanks to the phenomenal hitting of Mark Grace, have runners at first and third with 2 out, and Andre Dawson the batter.
Mark Grace has just continued to hit throughout this entire series. That was an off-speed pitch up. The Giants have seemingly wanted to try to get Grace out going to left field. See Sheridan slightly slipping on the wet turf in the outfield. There's a very thick outfield. The grass here is very thick. There's been really no rain, but it's very thick and very lush. The infield as well. So generally in the infield and outfield, it's considered a very slow surface.
The big out from last night is at the plate now and fouls it away. If there is a truism in baseball, you hear it every day. When the ball club is going well, the hot hitter always comes up in the right spot. And when a ball club is struggling, the cold hitter is always up there in the wrong spot. And for the Cubs, Dawson has been a cold hitter. That's in there. Sinker at the knee. Andre was saying in the aftermath of last night's game that he was angry at himself because he wasn't just trying to get a base hit. He was doing what a rookie would do, try too hard and try and hit it out of the ballpark. He is hitting only 125. 0-2. Curveball got him. And he is still the out man. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left, no score. Mike Schmidt.
Yeah, Vinny, I'm watching the replay of Andre Dawson, his strikeout, and he's just trying to overdo everything. I mean, look at him forcing this. This is a hanging ball up and in, and his left foot's almost on home plate. I think Andre's going to have to relax, and as he did last night, hit that ball to the opposite field. That's how he's going to be effective. We need the 2 out base hits if they're going to get in this thing.
Well, they've been overmatched because the Cubs have been able to furnish firepower from Sandberg and Grace. But there have been 3 big giants. Here's the lineup. Butler, Thompson, Clark, Mitchell, Williams, Kennedy, Sheridan, Uribe, and Russell, and young Mike Bilecki, formerly a teammate of Rick Russell. Somehow trying to find a way to beat the Giants and keep the Cubs alive. Popped in the air. Behind the plate, Girardi with a lot of room. 1 down. So Butler, and you just wonder psychologically if that's a smart play. You know all the pressure on this kid, and yet you go up there and swing at the first pitch. But I guess it's academic. We'll never really know.
Going up there and looking for a certain pitch. Hitters will go up and look for pitches. They'll go up and look at zones. One of the two, and Brett Butler, who's been predominantly trying to go to left field for the entire series, may have gotten a pitch that he felt maybe he could drive for an extra base hit. That may be why he was going for a pitch so early in the count.
Robbie Thompson coming up.
The defense for the Cubs, Marvell Wynn in place of Dwight Smith in left, Jerome Walton in center, Dawson in right, Luis Salazar, Dunston, Sandberg, and Grace. Girardi behind the plate, and Bilecki. One thing about this playoff series, the defense has been very good for both sides.
Fastball in there for a strike. Thompson having a big series, not only hitting .333, but some impressive numbers with 2 home runs and 3 clutch RBIs. 0-1. And that's foul back and out of play, and the count 0-2.
A couple of pop-ups straight up in the air tell you the kind of fastball that Mike Bilecki is working with. Pitch is taking off, having a little tail on it, and the hitter's hitting the bottom half of the ball. What you'll see a lot in a pitcher that has real good stuff, his ball will be very active at the hitting zone. You can see he's using the 4-seam fastball, and then you'll see the ball that takes a little pop at the end, and everybody hitting the bottom half of the ball.
Ground ball to Mark Grace. He hangs the feed to Bilecki. Got him. Close play at first base. Great hustle by Robbie Thompson, and a good hang by Mark Grace, so that Bilecki could field it without breaking stride.
Good teamwork between Grace and Bilecki here. This is not an easy play. Pitcher's got to come down that line. You know that Thompson running has excellent speed. Grace makes a good feed right at the bag. That's really the key, so you catch it and boom, can take a step and hit the bag. First base umpire Randy Marsh right on top of it. Another look from the right field camera. The key is a decent feed, a little bit high. But Bilecki right on the right route and can come right down to the bag.
Slow curveball for a strike to Will Clark, and the count 0-1. Clark tearing him up like Mark Grace. 2 down. First inning, no score. 0-1 the count. Fastball goes to the screen. Mike Bilecki has his ducks in a row. As Mike said, I'm just glad to be here. In 1985, he had a ruptured disc in his back. He pitched with the injury, won 2 games, and then underwent surgery. And it was serious stuff. But he has fought his way back to this role. 1-2.
Cubs have changed their defense against Will Clark here from last night. Center field, Jerome Walton is way over in right center. Last night they were playing Clark more or less straight away. Clark last night showing that he wanted to hit the ball to left field.
Wound off, still 1-2. How did Mike Bielecki wind up with the Cubs? Well, he's from Baltimore, which is Jim Fry's hometown. And Jim Fry's son-in-law had worked out at the same health club. And it was the son-in-law told Jim Fry, you know, this Bielecki fella's okay. And here he is pitching the most important game of the year. 2-2. Cubs, as they have done, get their share of base hits, but they're leaving the runners. So with 2 hits they left 2, and now the 2-2 pitch to Clark. Got him. So Will Clark strikes out. A strong first inning for Mike Bielecki, and at the end of an inning, no score. Tomorrow night on NBC, an all-new Matlock mystery, followed by a brand-new world premiere movie, Desperado, starring Alex MacArthur and Richard Farnsworth. They say it's the best one yet. Luis Salazar, who has hit in all 4, Sean Dunston and Joe Girardi. Fastball, strike. Salazar with a single and a home run last night. Chopper to the third. Matt Williams is there.
Another one of the trades that Jimmy Fry made, sending Calvin Schiraldi to the San Diego Padres. He got Fry and, he got Salazar and Marvell Wynn, both of them in the lineup today for the Cubs.
Sean Dunston coming up. The crowd is getting on Sean Dunston, but actually it's not fair, to be honest. After they all shook out last night, the report was that when Dunston got that little flare base hit, Will Clark wasn't the one who ignited him. It was Kelly Downs, the pitcher. Not Clark. Comebacker. 2 down. And when you think about it, it was a typical pitcher's reaction to a bloop. You know, why don't you swing the bat? And what Will Clark was actually doing, he was trying to serve as a peacemaker. And before the game, Clark and Dunston had a long, good-natured chat by the batting cage. 2 down, and Joe Girardi coming up. There's Kelly Downs, who pitched so well last night, but kind of ignited the fire. 4-1.
That was a great play by Russell on that ball. When he showed he was in perfect position to field it. Outstanding fielder.
Joe Girardi hitting 143, fists one right to Robbie Thompson. He was properly jammed. The Cubs are gone in order, and at the end of an inning and a half, no score. That's Dusty Baker between innings, rubbing out a couple of kinks in the shoulder and neck of Jose Uribe. Aye, there's the rub. And we go to the second with Mitchell, Williams, and Kennedy. Kevin Mitchell hitting .400. Mitchell is now a definite veteran of league championship games. He's played in 12 of them, and he's hitting .302. In there.
Trying to keep the ball away from Kevin. You can see the first pitch from Bielecki, the off-speed curveball. One of the things Dick Pohl is trying to get his club to do is to establish that first pitch strike. It's so important to get the first strike over. You're going to come in, you come in off the plate. Bielecki's been first strike to each of the hitters he's faced so far.
0-2 to Kevin Mitchell. Down and away, on deck Matt Williams, and then Terry Kennedy. Interestingly enough, the Giants, as you know, hold an advantage 3-1. That's the first time that has occurred in the National League Championship Series. They check no swing, said Randy Marsh. 4 times in the American League Championship Series history has one team had a 3-1 advantage over the other. But this is the first time in the National League. 2-2. Got him. And that looked like it had a pretty good sinker to it. Second strikeout for Mike Bialecki, and the batter will be Matt Williams.
Hey, look, maybe we can tell if it's a split finger or if it's a straight change. Looks like the sinker, just a flat straight sinker. That looks the second kind of fastball that we've seen Bialecki throw. Remember, we saw him earlier throwing the cross seam, a four seam fastball. That the sinker, that really diving down and in. Good movement on the ball at the hitting zone. That's one of the important keys.
Fastball high to Matt Williams. 12 pitches, the 2 classic at-bats in this league championship series. 12 pitches to Mark Grace, 12 pitches to Matt Williams. And last night, the 12th, 1 for San Francisco. Ball 2.
This is where the Giants have really capitalized when they've gotten ahead of the pitchers. Here the ball, count 2 balls and no strikes.
Now the 2-0 pitch. High pop fly on the right side. Sandberg going out looking for help. Here comes Dawson, and it'll be flagged by Grace. Sandberg turned his back as he flipped his sunglasses down, and he never saw the ball. Sandberg was out of the play, and it was Mark Grace, who earlier this year in a game at Candlestick lost a fly ball in the sun, but not that time.
A very high sky here at Candlestick, not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful sunny blue day. One of the things that Chicago Cubs don't have to contend with is wind. You imagine having to look up into that sky and contend with the wind as well. All 3 days it's been beautiful here at Candlestick.
October in the Bay. Boy, it is magnificent. 1 ball and no strikes. Fouled away off third out of play, and the count 1-1. I'm sure a lot of people wonder, after all the horror stories you have heard about Candlestick, whether they are just apocryphal, but it can get mean here and cold and bitter, but not now. Change. A little low. And a half swing for a strike, says Bruce Fremming, and the count 1-2. 2 down. Second inning, no score. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Bialecki doing a little bit of pitching out there today. Something that, unfortunately, the Cubs starters have not been doing for the entire series. Changing speeds, using both sides of the plate, throwing strikes, for the most part getting ahead of his hitters. He's only been behind one hitter, that Matt Williams, and when he got behind him, he went away with him with a fastball that could not hurt him. There you can see the splitter. Downward movement, and Kennedy just lucky to get the top half of the ball.
2-2. Fastball, a 1-hopper, now 2 to Dunston, who cranks it up and lets Grace have it. So the Giants are gone scoreless for 2, and we'll be back after these messages from your local station.
Game 5 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Stroh's, fire brewed, family brewed for more than 200 years. And by New York Life, the company you keep.
We go to the 3rd inning at Candlestick Park. No score, and it'll be Mike Bialecki followed by Jerome Walden and then Ryne Sandberg. You remember, Bialecki got the base hit against Kelly Downs to drive in a couple of runs in the 1st inning of game 2. This time he pops it up to Will Clark. He's fighting the glare. Martinez hollering to Bialecki, don't take it for granted. Bialecki stopped, and Martinez came out of the box saying, run. You don't know what'll happen on a pop fly, especially here. 1 down.
The big advantage for the Cubs is coming out here after the loss last night, not having to sit at home all day or back at the hotel all day and have the entire afternoon to think about it, as you see Clark looking up into that sun for the first out. The Cubs a real heartbreaker last night. Bases loaded, couple of runs behind. Dawson strikes out. They've got to go back to the hotel, Big thing, they get up, come right back out here. 12 hours later, they're right back at the ballpark. It's a big plus for them, rather than having to stay downtown, stay at that hotel all day, and think about the loss.
1-0 the count of Jerome Walden. And then, typical of the life of a ball player, wouldn't you know, Andre Dawson has barely rubbed the sleep out of his eyes. He's up there today, 1st and 3rd, and strikes out. Way out in front of that, 1-1. Big Daddy, that's what they called him in Chicago. His teammate on the Giants is the man who gave him the nickname Big Daddy. That would be Mike Krukow, who also pitched for Chicago. Among other things, he is an avid reader. In fact, when Rick Russell won his 200th Major League game, a San Francisco bookstore gave him a gift certificate good for 200 books. 2-1. Fly ball to left field. Mitchell will have to come up for it. And lost it in the sun. And that's what Martinez was hollering to Bielecki about. Don't you ever take anything for granted on a ball hit in the air at Candlestick. Remember, Mitchell did not get a jump on a ball last night, and sunglasses or no, he lost that one.
He never put the sunglasses down. Part of the problem, trying to keep it right under the bill of his cap if he could, and lost it right at the last moment. Why the sunglasses were not down, I don't know.
Error charge to Mitchell, and now Ryne Sandberg with Marvell Wynn on deck. No score, 3rd inning. Cubs get a break.
That's about the 3rd time I've seen that this year. Outfielders coming in with glasses on and do not put the glasses down. I can't figure it out. A tough sun field.
What makes it particularly difficult too is that we have just played 2 games that finished in the evening, and there isn't an angel up there to hide behind. Brilliant blue sky. You could set that in your ring. 1-0 the count of Sandberg, who struck out in the 1st inning, called out on a fastball that got the inside corner. This time he bangs it into right center, and that's going to go to the gap. Sandberg on his way will take a look and keep on going. Robbie Thompson's throw to Williams. He is out at 3rd. Great relay by Robbie Thompson. He threw a bullet right at Matt Williams' nose, handling the throw from Pat Sheridan.
Sandberg trying to get to 3rd base with 1 out, get to scoring position. Goes right up the right center field alley. A slight hesitation at 2nd base that might have cost him, but a great relay throw. That's what nailed him.
9-4-2 if you're scoring. Pat Sheridan to Robbie Thompson, and then to Matt Williams. 9-4-5. So 2 down. 0-1 to count to Marvell Wynn. And he hits it to center. Butler coming up to handle it. However, the Cubs get a break and cash it in. And at the end of 2.5 innings, Cubs 1, Giants nothing. A view from the wild blue yonder, as furnished by the Goodyear Blimp Columbia, based in Carson, California. Nick Nicolari from El Toro at the wheel. Goodyear Blimps travel over 100,000 miles every year, and it's worth the stop here at Candlestick, with the Cubs leading the Giants 1-0. Pat Sheridan, Jose Uribe, and Rick Russell against Mike Bielecki. 0-1. If we learn from history, the Giants certainly remember 1987, when they were 3-2 and went back to St. Louis and never scored. So they're not taking the importance of this game for granted by any means. 0-2.
A lot of people saying before the game that all the pressure was on the Chicago Cubs. That's really not true. The Giants would have to go back to Wrigley Field. Not necessarily do they have a starter for game number 6 established yet. Remember, Lacoste hurt his leg. Robinson has leg troubles.
0-2.
One of the reasons that Roger Craig would like to win it right here, he would be able to establish his starting rotation for the World Series. He would be able to at least take some time to get his pitching staff healthy. It's one of the things Tony La Russa has with the Oakland A's. He has all week to get his pitching staff and his rotation organized. The Giants are the only ones that will be able to do it. Now, if the Cubs are going to go to the World Series, obviously they're going to play all the way through Thursday. They got a day off and then start the World Series.
That's one thing that Tony La Russa talked about after yesterday's game. 1-2. He would just as soon have the Giants win it today, because La Russa felt that last year Oakland had the layoff and was rusty going into the World Series. So he's saying, okay, if I've clinched early, I want the Giants to clinch early, and they will be as rusty as we are. And Sheridan goes down, 1 away. Again, for historians, the Giants have never clinched a title of any type at home. And Roger Craig would like to change that this year.
Now look at the super slow-mo. You can see the splitter. Watch, look at the fingers apart. And watch the action at the ball right at the hitting zone. That's the key to that pitch. It is very active late at the hitting zone. I mean, all of a sudden, boom, the bottom drops out.
Fastball for a strike to Jose Uribe, and the count 0-1. Uribe hitting .286 in the series. 1 run batted in. Switch hitter. A little low, 1-1. On deck, Rick Russell. Big off-speed pitch, but low, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike. What did he give him? A lot of motion on that pitch.
A lot of motion and a big breaker. Blecky doesn't look like he's too nervous today. His tempo is a little bit faster. He's working a little bit quicker. You see the breaking ball. One of the things that pitching coaches will try to get their young pitchers especially to do, work with a little bit more tempo. Keeps your infielders alert. You get better defense behind you. You see Dick Pohl, the pitching coach for the Cubs. Seems that Malecki's tempo in this game is just a half a step ahead of what it was when he started in Chicago.
Line drive in the left center. Walden, however, picks it off. So Uribe hits it hard, lines out, and that's 8 in a row retired by Mike Bilecki, as Rick Russell will come to the plate. That's the hardest hit ball off Bilecki thus far. And now Russell.
Well, you can't judge Rick Russell by his demeanor. I mean, he walked up there to the plate like he was strolling through the bookstore, picking out some of his books. He is a good hitter.
And probably rolls it to Dunstan's left, and Sean nails him with that high sailor to Mark Grace. Well, I tell you, every throw is an adventure. And at the end of 3, 1-0 Chicago. We go to the 4th inning with the Cubs leading the Giants 1-0. It'll be Mark Grace, Andre Dawson, and Luis Salazar. If you joined us a little late in the 3rd inning, Jerome Walden hit a fly ball to left field, and despite the fact he was wearing sunglasses, Mitchell did not flip him down, lost it in the sky, and it went for a 2-base error. And then Ryne Sandberg doubled him in. And so Mitchell, who has been the difference in so many Giant games this year, is the difference defensively, at least for the moment. There's a line drive at Clark. Boy, what a tough out is Mark Grace. Even when they get him, he hits a bullet.
Second time in this game that he's pulled the ball. You see it down in the strike zone, but this time right at Will Clark. Boy, is he hot. What a beautiful swing. Now with a great swing, a great strikeout, base on balls ratio. Walks about twice as many times as he strikes out.
Andre Dawson has been playing in the big league since 1977. And you would think that a man with all of his glistening credentials, a man who is 35 years old, under the pressure would not be pressing. But he is pressing. One and one.
Pressing maybe because he knows he is the one individual in the lineup who can really carry the club from an offensive standpoint. He is the one bona fide home run hitter down in the middle of that lineup who can carry them, and he hasn't done it. He had a pitch to hit last night that he missed in the 9th inning with the bases loaded. He had a hanging curveball in this game the first time up, and he missed it. You know, in the back of his mind, 35 years old, and he has not been to a World Series.
1-2. And that hit him or the bat? It hit him on the hand. And Andre Dawson will be awarded first base.
Mike Schmidt was talking about it earlier, how that left foot and Andre Dawson really right in the, almost in the strike zone. Hit him on his, just on his pinky, it looks like. The breaking ball inside. Boy, that ball is not that far inside. He just looking out over the plate, looking for those breaking balls down in a way that he has had so much trouble with. He gets a sinker in. That ball's not about 3 inches inside. They'll tell you where he is on the plate.
So Andre Dawson hit by the pitch, and Luis Salazar the batter. Salazar grounded to third in the 2nd inning. Sinker in there at the knees. The combination of Russell's sinker, the thick grass on the infield, makes him so difficult here at Candlestick Park. Even if you hit the ball pretty hard on the ground, it usually dies of exhaustion. 0-1. There it is, lush and green in Candlestick. Chopper into the hole into right field. Dawson sees Sheridan is deep, and he keeps on going, and Sheridan's throw not in time. So the Cubs are in business again. Runners at first and third with 1 out, and Sean Dunston will be the batter. Salazar has now hit in all 5 games.
Salazar, the veteran, and around the major leagues, both leagues, and knows how to play the game. We talked about how Don Zimmer will go to the hit and run a little bit more often than he will the straight steal. That because of Russell's good move to first base. You see Dawson knowing that Sheridan deep in right, especially hit and run, go right on to third. Cartier saying stay right here. The Cubbies got first and third with 1 out.
Sean Dunston grounds one to the right side. Robbie Thompson goes to Uribe, and San Francisco, the scene of Game 5 at Candlestick. By the way, if you're 40 years old and you've been pitching professionally for 20 years, you're not going to get too excited about an inning-ending double play. That's about the most of it from Rick Russell.
Almost like saying, well, that's the way it's supposed to be done. You get him on first and third, you either strike him out or get the double play. You know, and he's always been like that.
Brett Butler fouled out on the first pitch in the 1st inning. Looks at an off-speed strike, and the count 0-1. Butler, Thompson, and Clark. 4th inning. Cubs 1, Giants nothing. Showed bunt, took low, 1-1.
Well, like he's got it on track through the first 3 innings. Retired 9 in a row using 36 pitches. A different pitcher than we saw in Chicago.
Butler with 23 bunt singles, so Salazar and Grace have to shorten up as usual. 1-1 in time. Bilecki has retired 9 in a row, so Butler might very well try to move him around a little bit and get him out of that comfort zone standing on the mound. One and 2. Butler felt that was kind of a delayed call as he backs out, unhappy with it. Charlie Williams, the plate umpire. Randy Marsh, Doug Harvey, and Bruce Fremming working the base pads. Terry Tata and Jim Quick on the line. 1-2. Ground ball to Dunston. Well, I tell you what, I wonder how many gloves Mark Grace uses in the course of a year. We understand that they put the speed gun on that throw. That was an 84-mile-an-hour fastball that Dunston just unleashed to Mark Grace. Robbie Thompson grounded out. Grace to Bielecki covering in the first inning. Robbie 0 for 1, hitting .313. Off speed but missed. Ball 1.
High percentage of first pitch strikes by Bielecki, and he is really trying to establish his breaking ball early in the count.
1-0. Fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
One of the problems that the Cub pitchers have had is that those high fastballs, you saw the swing in the foul back by Robbie Thompson. The pitches that they've been throwing up, the fastballs up, have been right about just at the bottom of the letters. See where the Giants are, just at the bottom of that. Well, that fastball there was a little bit above, just above the top of the strike zone.
1-1. Breaking ball, and he really broke off a dandy in the count. 1-2. The only run came in the third.
Here you see the super slow-mo again. You look at the fingers and you can tell the pitch. That's the breaking ball. See him come right over the top.
1-2. And another breaking ball, and Thompson got a piece of it. We were talking about how hard Sean Dunston throws. Look at this. Mark Grace cooling off that right hand. Well, I bet you that thing burns by the end of a game. High pop fly. Dunston, sunglasses down, and they're glistening. Makes the play. Boy, so many times you see an infielder up here especially, sunglasses down, look up, and looks like the eyes of little awful Annie. Here's Will Clark.
Thompson on that pop fly all the way down to second base. Obviously the Giants play 81 games here at Candlestick Park, and they know how tough this place can be to play in. They will take advantage. They definitely have a home field advantage here. The one advantage that they don't have from the home field standpoint is that in the 3 games there's been no wind.
0-1 the count to Will Clark with Kevin Mitchell on deck. Flags hanging limply in center field. Boy, you ought to put that in a time capsule. For 3 consecutive days, not a movement out there. But again, it should be pointed out, it is a rare time to be playing here in October. 0-1. 1-1 to Will Clark.
There's an established fastball inside. One of the things that Dick Polo has been working with Bielecki all year long. Established hard in, and then you get somebody out soft away.
Line to center. There's base hit number 1. And it's collected by the man you figured would get it sooner or later, Will Clark. So a 2-out single will bring up Kevin Mitchell. Mitchell with an opportunity to atone for not bringing the sunglasses down on the fly ball by Walton that eventually led to the only run of the game. One nothing Cubs. 2 out in the 4th. Breaking ball. You don't expect Clark to do any running, especially since you know he has a sore leg. And the one thing the Giants don't want to do is take the bat out of Kevin Mitchell's hand, not after having hit 47 during the year. 0-1. Mitchell hitting .375 in the series. Fastball on the hands, and he really challenged him. Boy, it takes a little guts to come in there against somebody who can hit him out as quickly as Mitchell can.
If you go in, you got to go way in. You try to go to the end of the plate. See how Mitchell tries to collapse and hit that ball? The thing you don't want Mitchell to be able to do is extend his arms. Takes a lot of guts to go in there, but you have to go in hard. You have to go in hard off the plate. Start that ball on the corner and try to run it in toward that elbow.
0-2. And away. So the classic pattern, hard stuff inside, breaking ball down and away, and the count 1-2.
That's a formula that's worked for a long time.
Since the caveman.
Yeah, that's right.
Matt Williams on deck. Malecki trying to get out of the inning. 1-2. Malecki has 3 strikeouts, no walks, and allowed just 1 hit. One and 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The count to Kevin Mitchell, who's checking with Bill Fahey. Deuce is wild. Check swing. Walking off the field are the Cubs, and there's that delayed call strike by Charlie Williams. No runs, 1 hit, a man left, 4 strikeouts for Bilecki. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
Game 5 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by New Keystone and Keystone Light, bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great? And by Today's Chevrolet, who invites you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
To the 5th inning with the Cubs leading the Giants 1-0, and Joe Girardi, first ball swinging, fouls it away in the count 0-1. Girardi, the Cub catcher, popped up to Robbie Thompson in the 2nd inning. The only run in the 3rd on a ball lost in the sun by Kevin Mitchell, and then Ryne Sandberg's double to score Jerome Walton. 1-1. 1 run, 4 hits for Chicago. No runs, 1 hit for the Giants. Two and 1. That's the pitch that jammed him in the 2nd inning. Laid off at this time.
For the most part, you'll see most of the Cubs swing early in the count against Russell. He tries to get ahead in the count very early.
Chopper to shortstop. Uribe is there.
A lot of first pitch strikes from Rick Russell. One of the ways that he pitches, he's old school. He tries to get ahead in the count, get that first pitch in the strike zone. And as a result, he will get a lot of first pitch swinging.
Just a gentle reminder, tomorrow night on NBC, a great entertainment lineup, an all-new Matlock mystery, followed by a brand-new world premiere movie, Desperado, with Alex MacArthur and Richard Farnsworth. Sandberg missing a breaking ball, struck out in the 1st inning, but then got a ball to handle and doubled to right center in the 3rd. In there on the corner, and he's in a hole now, 0-2. Sandberg hitting over 400 at Candlestick. 1-2 the count. On deck, Jerome Walton. And down he goes. Walton coming up had the infield single in the 1st inning, and then hit the fly ball in the 3rd that was lost by Kevin Mitchell. And he came around to score on Sandberg's double. One run, 4 hits for Chicago. No runs, 1 hit for the Giants. Cubs had opportunities, 1st and 3rd with 2 out in the 1st inning, and Dawson struck out. 1st and 3rd with 1 out in the 4th. Dunston hit into a double play. 1 ball, no strike.
Matt Williams playing in the 3rd, protecting against the bunt against Jerome Walton. Most of the time from the right side, he tries to hit that ball, if he bunts it, toward the right side. Hit it right in between the pitcher and the first baseman. He likes to push bunt. Excellent speed.
He had 18 bunt singles during the year. Butler had 23. 2 balls, no strikes. Wouldn't go after the sinker. 3-0 the count. Sandberg on deck, waiting for another chance to hurt. Down the pipe. No walks in the game. We did have a hit batter. Dawson hit on the hand in the 4th. Fouled away. So Rushell's come back now to run the count full, 3-2.
It's amazing on the 3-0 pitch. It's just a nothing fastball right down the middle. And then on the 3-1 pitch, where he would certainly suspect Walton to be going after it, he tuned it up just a notch and ran the ball in on his hands. Rushell has a great sense, because of his experience, of what somebody is trying to do at the plate against him.
Fouled away, and he kept that sinker down and in.
People talking about him, they say he's able to recognize if, in fact, one of the big right-hand hitters is trying to muscle up and maybe trying to pull the ball. If somebody's trying to go the other way. We were talking about him before, being an avid reader. He says he's a very intelligent pitcher and really has kind of a sixth sense about what somebody else is trying to do against him.
Ground ball to short. There's Uribe on it. And there's the third out in the top of the 5th inning. And at the end of 4 1/2, the Cubs won and the Giants nothing. Pitchers on target. 1-0 Cubs, bottom of the 5th.
You don't get a game that's 4 1/2 innings old, just 5 hits and 1 run. If you don't do certain basics correctly, you can see the number of strikes that both pitchers are throwing today. Malecki has not even gone to 3 balls on the hitter. That's one of the few times that he's missed with the first strike.
And he started Matt Williams off speed. 1 ball and no strikes. Williams popped up in the 2nd inning. Breaking ball, little slider off the bat. 1-1. Well, if you talk to scouts about Matt Williams, he is basically a fastball hitter. And yet in the biggest moment last night, 12 pitches, only 1 was off speed, all the others hard stuff.
Good look at the fearsome foursome. The rest of the team 0-2. Good job by Kevin Smolin, our graphic man downstairs.
Chopper to deep in the hole. Dunston's long throw gets by. Grace backing up is Girardi, and into second base goes Williams. It'll be 1-1. A base hit, and then Dunston drawing the error for the overthrow.
Dunston thinks he can go any place on the field and throw anybody out. A terrifically strong arm would have taken a great play by Grace at first. Remember here at Candlestick, a lot of foul territory. Long way from first base to where the ball would stop over next to the stands.
Tying run at second, nobody out, and Terry Kennedy taking ball 1. He'll be followed by Pat Sheridan and then Jose Uribe. So for the first time today, Malecki pitching under a severe challenge with the tying run in scoring position. He had retired the first 11 before giving up a base hit. Hit down the line, foul, out of play. Kennedy might very well have been trying to take a shot at the hole on the left side, because Sean Dunston is trying to bird dog as much as he can. Williams does not run well, and if you can take a step away from Williams at second base, it could be a big play at third or home. So Kennedy saw that big hole and he wanted to take a shot at it, but fouled it off. 1-1. Dunston way over behind Williams. Little foul off third. Salazar on the dead run and makes the play. So Kennedy fouls out, and that was an interesting moment in the game, because with a left-hand hitter up there and nobody out, you know he would like to pull the ball or at least get Williams over to third. Malecki wouldn't give him anything to pull, so he tried to go with it, and he fouls out to third.
I think Kennedy just wanted to hit the ball in that hole. The hole was so big, he wanted to hit the ball on the ground between Salazar and Dunston. He actually got an off-speed pitch, which is the kind of pitch you would need or want to be able to pull the ball to the right side. But the hole was so big between Salazar and Dunston. Dunston was so much up the middle. Kennedy was a real veteran, decided to try and be a little bit greedy, go for the base hit in the hole to get him to third.
Here's Pat Sheridan. He has 2 hits in the series. He struck out in the third. On deck, Jose Uribe. Sheridan hitting 167. No balls and 1 strike. That got away, and over to third goes Williams. The Cubs have been hurt several times in the league championship series. Wild pitches and pass balls, and now that's a big one to put the tying run 90 feet away.
One of the things that the Cubs have really been hurt by too as well, Benny, is youth. They make young mistakes. You see the splitter here going down, and Girardi just cannot handle it. A relatively young pitching staff. And both of the catchers, Rona and Girardi, rookies.
1-1. It's going to be a pass ball, and a pretty good reason was, in looking at the replay, Girardi tried to catch the ball with his mitt, one-handed. His bare hand had nothing to do. So instead of pushing the ball out in front of the plate, he tried to one-handed with the mitt, and it got away. So pass ball. 2-1. Fouled away. A lot of people think, well, if a pitch is in the dirt, it's automatically a wild pitch, and that's not true. Well, Girardi would love to have had that back again to shovel it out in front, and Williams with no speed. There was no way he was going to gamble unless that pitch really got away. Damon Berryhill, of course, would have given anything to be in this league championship series, but he's out with a torn rotator cuff. 2-2. Got him. Big out for Mike Bielecki. That's 5 strikeouts. He's gotten Sheridan twice. Now let's see what they do with Uribe. You have the switch hitting Uribe coming up and Russell to follow.
The important thing about strikeouts is when you get them. May not be a strikeout pitcher, may not run the numbers of strikeouts like Nolan Ryan can do, but it's when you get them. Get that strikeout with a runner on third base with less than 2 outs. The Cub defense had to play in to protect against the tying run. And if you have the facility to strike somebody out, that's when you want to try and do it. Good pitch by Bielecki.
We're watching Joe Girardi, and he gestures to Grace as if to say, have you seen the direction from the dugout? The dugouts have moved Grace just a tad, and they're going to pitch to Uribe. Matt Williams at third, 2 out. A lot of pressure now on Girardi and Bielecki. Strike. They can't let another one get away.
The only pitch that he's pulled have been off-speed pitches, Benny. Most of the time he's been hitting the hard stuff the opposite way up the middle. Walton in center field is really very deep for Uribe.
Good reason. Uribe really ripped one in the 3rd inning, but right at Walden. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's the old story. Every manager in existence, they love to get that number 8 hitter for the final out so they can start the next inning against the pitcher. But sometimes you get burned by it, and we'll see what happens to Zimmer. Fouled away. 1-2. 1-0 Chicago. 2 out, bottom of the 5th. The Giants have the tying run at third, and Matt Williams. Don Zimmer still can find reason to smile. One ball, 2 strikes. 2-2. They have paraphrased a great line in Chicago from Dylan Thomas' poem about the boys of summer. They refer to the Cubs now as the boys of Zimmer. 2-2. Popped in the air, back a third, down the line. Moving over is Marvell Wynn, and Bielecki has weathered the storm. On the base hit, the error, and the pass ball, he has kept the tying run away. Still 1-0. You have heard, I'm sure, of being hung in effigy. Well, this is being hung in San Francisco as someone has taken a small cub, hung it by the neck. You know, we were talking before about Dylan Thomas and that great poem about the boys of summer, which is applicable to the Cubs now. Dylan Thomas line that everyone forgets. It's the boys of summer in their ruins. That's the one thing the Cubs are trying to avoid today. It is 1-0 Cubs in the 6th. Ryne Sandberg lifting one to shortstop. Uribe on the grass. One down, and the batter will be Marvell Wynn, who is playing today because Dwight Smith suffered that hamstring pull trying to score last night and had to come out of the game. Unable to answer the bell today. So Marvell, a former teammate of Russell, is in there. Pretty frustrating to be young Dwight Smith, who played so well all year and then missed the big game. One ball and no strikes. Tell you something that you could also put in a time capsule that you never see here. There's a one hopper by the diving Robbie Thompson. So Marvell Wynn, a 1-out single. The picture that I don't think I've ever seen at Candlestick, the back of the plate umpire wringing wet. Charlie Williams is a walking thermometer. You just don't see that here. Goosebumps maybe, but not perspiration. Almost 80 degrees. And the batter, Mark Grace. 1-0 Cubs, top of the 6th.
One of the things Zim will try to do, obviously we talked about before, put men in motion, hit and run. You stay out of the double play.
Wynn not going. Interesting thing about Mark Grace, he's probably the only cleanup hitter around who is rated so high as a hit and run hitter. In fact, Don Zimmer said he's the best hit and run man he's had in 12 years.
Well, he's not really a cleanup hitter. He's hitting fourth, obviously, for the Cubs, but that's because Andre Dawson has scuffled so much. Grace is really a number 3 hitter. Best hitter on that ball club. They tried Ryne Sandberg in the number 3 spot early in the season for the Cubs, and he just did not do well. Emotionally, mentally, just was not a good number 3 hitter.
Fouled away, 1-1 to count to Mark Grace.
One of the things that Zim did when he put Mark Grace into the number 4 spot, you see Chuck Cartier flashing the sign, say, don't change, don't try to hit home runs, don't change your style. You be the same kind of contact hitter, go to left for 2 strikes, take advantage of a count type of hitter. I don't want a home run hitter here. I just want you hitting, and you just happen to be hitting in the number 4 spot.
Ball 2. Today, Grace singled to right and lined out to Will Clark. He's hitting .625 in the League Championship Series. And hitting .400 at Candlestick Park this year. On deck, and perhaps in another spotlight situation, is Andre Dawson, and you can just imagine what he's thinking. Lined into right field, base hit. Wynn sees Sheridan play a one-hopper, and he's on his way to third. And for the umpteenth time in this 1989 League Championship Series, Andre Dawson has a chance to do something.
Another ball hit right on the nose by Mark Grace. Ahead in the count, and he takes advantage of it. He doesn't try to overdo. He doesn't try to take more than the pitcher offers. It seems that every time the pitcher makes a mistake to Grace, he is on a hot streak. He hits the ball hard. One of the 5 hitters in the National League to hit .300. Great bat control.
Andre Dawson has left 10 men on base, so you know the pressure he's under right now. And he lifts a pop fly into right field. Sheridan with a good arm, tagging up his Wynn. Sheridan for the catch. Wynn can't move, and Dawson has failed again. And Andre Dawson must be fit to be tied. In his great career, he has suddenly come dead in the water. And again, we go back to that old story. When you're going well, a hot hitter is always up there. When you're struggling, the ice-cold hitter is up there. Here's Andre's reaction.
The ball hits short into right field. Sheridan does have a good arm, but he knows it's not far enough. Good pitch by Russell. Seems like everything on the backside of Dawson is collapsing, hitting underneath the ball.
Well, they lived with him and they will die with him. That's Zimmer's philosophy. Chuck Cottier angling down the line, and he immediately put the blocks to Marvell Wynn. So the Cubs had first and third in the first inning. Couldn't do anything. They had first and third in the fourth inning, and Dunston hit into a double play. And for the third time today, they had first and third. And they're still checking Dawson's hand. Remember, he was hit by a pitch in the fourth inning. 1 ball, no strikes to Luis Salazar. In there, 1-1. So the Giants have frustrated the Cubs, and the Cubs have frustrated the Cubs. What was that old cartoon? We have met the enemy, and they are us. Fisted down to the right side to Robbie Thompson, and Russell is out of the jam. After his last frustrating at bat in the 6th inning, Andre Dawson, who was hit on the hand in the 4th inning, has some tape to support the thumb. Meanwhile, Rick Russell takes a strike, and we're in the bottom of the 6th. 1-0 Chicago. Russell rolled to short in the 3rd inning. Off speed and away. Interesting. What's the old line? You never change up on a pitcher, which is an indication that Russell is a good hitter. Comebacker speared by Bielecki. So Bielecki up the ladder to the top rung to spear that one. He was fully extended.
Bielecki has been almost perfect all day. A good fielding pitcher. You can see the movement on the ball, either the breaking ball into the sinker. Boy, he's just not throwing the ball in the middle of the plate today. Dick Pohl saying he was so nervous the first time he pitched in this series. He definitely has calmed down. Exactly what the Cubs have needed. A good, strong effort out of their starter.
I have a question to you. Would you be more inclined to be more nervous pitching at home in Wrigley Field than, let's say, he's out here in San Francisco living quietly in a hotel with the teammates? Would it be less here?
I think the nervousness would become the first time that you pitch in the playoffs or in postseason play. After that, the bout is underway, and the batter is being mixed, if you will, and you jump back in there at some point. I think the nervousness will come in the first time that you participate in postseason play.
2 balls and no strikes to Brett Butler. That's in there. 2-1. The theory I was thinking about is that feelings, human feelings, rub off on other humans. We're social beings. So if Bielecki's in Chicago, all the well-wishers would have a tendency to tighten him up more. Here, he's a stranger in this city. Fouled away at the count 2-2.
I think one of the things you have to understand about the Cubs is that they are basically a young ball club. Girardi is a rookie. Rona, Walton, Wynn, Smith, Dunston, Grace. This is a relatively young ball club, and they make young mistakes, and they're going to have young nerves. That's to Zimmer's credit, because he's done such a good job all year. What a beautiful pitch by Bielecki right on the inside corner.
The Butler is caught looking at strikeout number 6 for Mike Bielecki, who, by the way, is not exactly wet behind the ears. He's 30 years old.
Right on the inside corner. Remember the entire series, Brett Butler's been trying to go to left field with 2 strikes. There's no way he's going to get at that ball unless you try and pull it.
Robbie Thompson with a big at-bat now with Will Clark on deck. Thompson grounded out, popped up, 0 for 2, hitting .294. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Cubs 1, Giants nothing. 2-0. the only run, if you weren't with us, in the third inning. Jerome Walden lifted a fly ball to left. For whatever reason, Kevin Mitchell did not pull his sunglasses down, lost it in the glare. It fell for a two-base error, and then Ryne Sandberg doubled him home, and that's it. Fastball fouled away. 2-1.
Boy, he has good cuts at fastballs. Both Thompson and Williams really let it go with a fastball. One of the things that's impressive about those two guys is that they do not take the check swing. They do not take a half swing. They let it go on the fastball. When they see the pitch that they like, they let it fly.
And he missed low with the fastball. So now this very important at bat. Thompson trying to get aboard any way he can and let Will Clark come up with a runner on base. Clark has struck out and singled and waits hungrily. On the corner. Robbie trying to will his way aboard, but Charlie Williams right there to call it.
Like he's been painting the back all day. That's the same kind of pitch opposite side of the plate that he struck Butler out on, right on the corner.
3-2. Drive to left field, going back is Wynn. He's there, and Bielecki does not have to look at Will Clark with a man aboard. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
Game 5 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
Thank you, Cubs, the fans, and the cheap seats. That's the sign outlined against that bright blue. And they are here in the cheap seats, the expensive seats. We've had crowds of over 62,000 for each of the first two games. And we figure to be somewhere up around that number again today. Sean Dunston, 0-1. We mentioned it earlier about that theory in the Bay Area, whether the Bay Area could support two baseball teams. It should be duly noted that the Giants and the Oakland A's combined drew over 4.5 million, and they intermingle. 2-0. Two balls, no strikes. Dunston hit back to the box and hit into a double play. Ground ball hard right under Matt Williams' glove and on out into left field. Dunston a turn and holding.
Good aggressive swing by Sean Dunston. You know, when you're facing Rick Rushell, you're ahead in the count. Pretty much you're going to get something to hit. He just hit it like a bullet right by Matt Williams, who has been superb defensively through this entire series. Just hit too hard, and like a shot, you have to play in and protect against the bunt some.
Girardi popped up and grounded out. 1-0 Cubs. They get a leadoff man aboard, but only for the second time today. They have 1 run, 7 hits. The Giants no runs, 2 hits. The Cubs have left 5. Dunston during the regular season, and admittedly it's not the same, but you can see he stole 19 and time. Checking with Martinez.
A lot of times you talk about the count, which count is best to bunt on, hit and run on. With Zim, you never know. He will do anything at any time.
One ball and no strikes.
One thing with Girardi, the thing on top of Zimmer's mind certainly is to stay out of the double play. Bielecki is not a good hitting pitcher. There have been a couple of runs in his game in Chicago, but he is not known to be a good hitting pitcher.
Girardi has only sacrificed once this year. In looking at Girardi's numbers, He has struck out a little more than twice as many times as he walked. He didn't play that much. 1 ball, no strikes. Dunston at first. Nobody out.
Cubs have 3 good young catchers. Damon Berryhill, who has had shoulder problems. Girardi and Rona. Some of the talk around the playoffs, you see Damon Berryhill. The problems, not problems, are one of the possibilities that the Cubs trade one of their young catchers. Lock on the commodity.
There goes Dunston. Hit and run ground ball right to Uribe, who was covering and gets the double play. If Uribe is not covering, that's a base hit to center field.
Another example of the good defense throughout this entire series. And it's a matter of one manager outfoxing the other in this situation. Zimmer trying to stay out of the double play. Uribe covering. Would expect the ball to be hit to the right side. Here Uribe covers.
Here's Bilecki. Ball 1. When the Giants come up in the bottom of the 7th inning, and you will hear a lot of noise then. They will have Will Clark, Kevin Mitchell, and Matt Williams on the corner. 1-1. One nothing Chicago. 2 out, top of the 7th. Out away.
You got to try something when you face a pitcher like Rick Russell, because the movement that he can put on the ball, and obviously he has good movement today, was awful in Chicago. At the hitting zone, he can put great movement on the ball, and you know he can sink the ball when he wants to. He's proven it today, getting a couple of ground balls right when he's needed them.
And that takes care of Bilecki, and the fact that Dunston had led off with a base hit. Right now, here's another edition of State Farm Rules of the Game. Well, as promised, here comes the noise at Candlestick Park. Bottom of the 7th, 1-0 Chicago. Will Clark, Kevin Mitchell, and Matt Williams. Clark struck out and singled, 1 for 2. A drive to right in the corner. Dawson slipped momentarily, and it's off his glove. And Clark is into second base, and he's going to keep on going to third. He is in there. Andre Dawson slipped, and by slipping, he could not really get his full glove on the ball, and that was the difference.
First pitch hitting, the first ball fastball hitter, Will Clark. And a drive down in the corner. We saw Pat Sheridan have a difficulty with the turf in right field earlier. We talked about how lush and green it is. It's very soft. The footing is not very secure. And that one just hesitation of a slip, enough to cost Dawson just a couple of inches that he needed, the ball right off the end of his glove. Now remember, Clark has been suffering with some sore legs. He's running well, but he's obviously in pain. And they may be trying to buy him some time here.
Clark stiff-legged with that right leg, able to get in there, and now he has waved the trainer away. Down in the Chicago bullpen, Mitch Williams and Les Lancaster. Williams, of course, the left-hander. So Bilecki, who had the leadoff man get aboard and reach third in the 5th inning, now really faces a challenge. The tying run 90 feet away. Nobody out. Mitchell, Williams, and Kennedy trying to pick it up. And the infield in. Off speed for a strike. 0-1. Mitchell has struck out twice today. So a tough break for Bilecki. In fact, 2 tough breaks. The slip and then the drop. 0-1. High fly ball to dead center. Back goes Walden on the track. And coming in is Clark to tie it up 1-1. In a sense, the scales have balanced for Bielecki, because remember, the only Cub run was the fly ball lost by Kevin Mitchell. Though it's only right, I guess, that Mitchell should drive in the run to cancel it out. And it's 1-1 in the 7th, and the batter, Matt Williams. Ball 1, breaking ball. One run, 7 hits for the Cubs, who have wasted opportunities. 1 run, 3 hits for the Giants, who have not wasted opportunities and cashed in the run they needed. Ball 2.
With the infield playing in, Bielecki certainly need the strikeout against Mitchell. It got the fastball up and out over the plate. More importantly, up in the strike zone. There you go against Kevin Mitchell, who had 125 RBIs during the season. You got to play the infield in. You got a tough job.
2-0. Ball 3. Bielecki has not had any help from his hitters. 3 times the Cubs had runners at first and third today and came up empty. 3-0 to Matt Williams. And there was certainly nothing automatic with his power that he was taking anything, especially a 3-0 fastball.
Boy, he let it go too, didn't he? You saw Robbie Thompson earlier. I mean, let it go on a fastball. There are no half swings. They let her fly when they got a chance and get that fastball.
3-1. And another one. 3-2. Bielecki with a half a dozen strikeouts. He has allowed 3 hits. So Craig and Zimmer, the good buddies, are even in the game, but Craig a decided favorite, leading 3 games to 1. Foul back out of play. He gave him a breaking ball that time just to change the pace. So after all those fastballs, he came back 3-2 curve.
Williams got the 3-2 fastball last night off of Steve Wilson and hit it out of here. You can see how way out in front. Changing speeds and gets Williams way out. They'd be looking again from middle half in. And if you're going to throw it in there, you got to really pop it on the inside.
3-2. Fastball hit down the left field line, hooking, foul. Boy, does he turn on that fastball.
Watch how far inside he's got to come to get the ball. See him collapse? In order to hit that ball hard, he has to roll that top hand over. Boy, and you're messing with dynamite in there, and you're talking about just fractions of an inch.
3-2.
That makes a difference.
Change got him. Oh, what a pitch by Bielecki. A 3-2 off-speed pitch, and Matt Williams way out in front of it. Now that was a pitcher's pitch.
The pitch last night that Steve Wilson did not make after throwing about 12 pitches to Matt Williams was the off-speed pitch. He'd proven that he could get the bat head out on the fastball, and Bielecki saw it. The speed on that pitch, 68 miles an hour. Big difference between that and the fastball. Way out in front. A good pitch by Bielecki.
Strike 1 to Terry Kennedy. 2 down, 7th inning. A 1-1 tie. Fouled away, 0-2.
Well, it looked like Bielecki had lost his composure just a little bit when the Giants had tied it up. Matt Williams ran the count to 3-0 through some of the worst pitches that he threw all day. But he really showed me something there. He came right back and got Williams. Good regaining of his own composure.
No balls, 2 strikes to Terry Kennedy. 1-2.
Remember the first pitch to Williams, a breaking ball way and outside, game tied. He's been pitching a gem so far. Didn't get any help from the bench. I thought maybe Dick Pohl would go out there just to say a couple of words to settle him down, but he got it done by himself.
1-2. Fastball hit to short. Dunston cranks it up again, and that's it. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 slip, 1 drop, and at the end of 7, a 1-1 tie.
Will Clark leading off the inning, hitting a triple down that right field corner. First pitch hitting. You can see how he's kind of dragging that right leg. Heavily taped. And he took a little bit of time to make sure he was okay when he got there. But Will Clark, a first ball fastball hitter, boy, and he rifled down that right field corner.
Jerome Walden 1 for 3. Breaking ball away, ball 1. Russell has gotten his team into the 8th inning, and as he works on Walden, Craig Lefferts begins to throw back of him for another reason as well. Russell is due up 3rd when the Giants hit in the bottom of the 8th. 2-0 the count to Walden. Singled in the first inning, hit the fly ball that was lost in the glare by Mitchell and grounded to short. He scored on Sandberg's double. That's the only Cub run. So the only scoring today are on balls that should have been caught by Mitchell and by Dawson. And the count 3-0 to Jerome Walden.
We talked how Rick Russell will show you at the beginning of the game if in fact he has it. Good movement on the hitting on the ball. When it gets to the hitting zone now, first hitter here in the 8th, he's run the count to 3-0.
And that's his first walk of the day. Remember, he hit Dawson, but that's the first walk. And that could be a storm signal for Roger Craig. He'll be watching him now as Ryne Sandberg comes up. It's the 3rd time today the leadoff man has gotten aboard. We have a moment to remind you, Wednesday night on NBC, a terrific lineup waiting for you. An all-new Unsolved Mysteries. 2nd, a new Night Court. 3rd, the critically acclaimed new comedy series Nut House. And batting cleanup, a brand new episode of Quantum Leap. A great night of entertainment on NBC Wednesday. Ryne Sandberg has played in 10 league championship games and has had at least 1 hit in every one of them. Today he struck out, doubled in a run, and popped up. Fastball strike, and it's the rare fastball that Sandberg has taken in this series.
Well, it looked like it took him by surprise too. You know Jim's going to do something somewhere here in this inning. Top of the 8th. An 86-mile-an-hour fastball on the inside part of the plate. Chuck Cartier flashing the signs.
Walden stole 24 during the regular year, and they know it.
I think the question was him is just trying to figure out on what pitch he's going to do it on. There's Cartier.
You can put a play on with Sandberg, and that's a luxury, despite the fact that Ryne had 30 home runs. He had way over 600 at bats and did not strike out 100 times. And he bunts. Russell will make the play to first. So Walden takes 2nd, and the batter will be Marvell Wynn. That is really an interesting bit of strategy. Here you have a great hitter in the number 2 slot, a 30 home run hitter. You're on the road. And yet Zimmer, known for playing wide open baseball, becomes very, very conservative. Maybe because he's down 3-1, but that seems very much unlike Don Zimmer.
Took a very conservative approach indeed. I think big part of that is a compliment to Russell and the move that he has to first base. That is probably the one factor that made him put on the bunt in that situation. Sandberg hits the ball to the right side as well as anybody in the Cub lineup.
Ball 1 to Marvell Wynn. Wynn playing for Dwight Smith. Fouled out to Kennedy. Flied to center and singled to center. He's 1 for 3. Walden trying to get a big lead, and the Giants, like bookends, trying to put a squeeze on him. Ground ball to the left side as Thompson has to go back to get it. And moving over to 3rd is Walden. Thompson could not afford to put on a good fake. Had he, that ball was hit to his left side and it would have gone through. So here comes Mark Grace, and Kennedy is looking over the dugout as if to say, what are we going to do? Remember, Andre Dawson is the next hitter.
You don't think this is going to cause a meeting or two? Roger Craig on his way to the mound. I don't know whether it's for a new pitcher, if it's a discussion with his catcher and pitcher about what they want to do, how they want to do it. A lot of action in the Giant bullpen. Doesn't look like he is going to change pitchers. Roger's a lot like Russell in the sense his demeanor seems to be the same all the time. There it is. It's a discussion of how we want to go about this. I'd be very surprised if they pitch to him.
Mark Grace is only hitting .647. They walked him intentionally once. That was in game 2. The outman has been Andre Dawson, and he is on deck. And they're going to walk Grace, and again, Andre Dawson will be in the pressure spot.
You know, Roger Craig feels that it's going to be a one-run ball game, and he's playing a one-run ball game. It doesn't look like you're going to win a game 4-3 or 3-2 if Dawson hits the ball out. But it doesn't make a difference because it looks like it's a 2-1 game anyway.
It's amazing, and occasionally it will happen. I go back to the 1952 World Series, the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Yankees, and the great Gil Hodges. He couldn't buy a hit. And now here in 1989, the great Andre Dawson, who has been the heartbeat of the Cubs for the last couple of years, the most valuable player in 1987. But it has all turned to chalk ever since the knee operation. And Zimmer has said it's been a tough year for him. He has struggled, but I'm staying with him. And he has struggled today, as he has in every game. Dawson, with first and third in the first inning, struck out. With first and third in the sixth inning, popped out to shallow right. And here he is with first and third and 2 out in the 8th in a 1-1 tie. Ball 1.
Really a better hitter when he goes up the middle. And Uribe is playing way around to pull on the infield. A big hole up the middle.
See if he's changed his stance at all. See if that left foot is still as close to home plate as it was in the first couple, an indication he was pressing. Fouled away. 1-1. Well, they say Chicago is the city of the broad shoulders, and Andre Dawson certainly needs some broad shoulders. He's been carrying quite a weight. Now that left foot does not appear to be quite as close to the plate as it was the first 2 at-bats.
Boy, and he's trying to go right up the middle, too. He sees the hole up the middle.
1-1. Foul back, out of play. That's another thing about when a hitter is struggling. It seems like he inherits a count. Every time you look up on the scoreboard, there's 2 strikes. And now the entire crowd up and at him yet again. Runner going, fouled away. So they had Mark Grace going to take a force play away. It's pretty tough for the Giants to get a force play with Uribe so deep in the hole and Thompson wandering on the rim in a deep second base position to increase his range.
Mark Grace going and nobody covering. They don't really care about Mark Grace at first base. There's a sense in a ball game. But you know the end of the game is going to be alike. You know what the score at the end is going to be like. I know that Roger Craig has sensed that this is somewhere is a 2-1 game.
Well, you talk about the loneliness of the long-distance runner. How about the loneliness of Andre Dawson right now? Little tapper back to Russell. For the 3rd consecutive day, the largest crowd to ever see a baseball game at Candlestick Park. It's been 62,078, 62,065 in the first game, and somehow they've been able to shoehorn another 6 people in here today. 62,084 to see Ken Oberkfell lead off batting for Pat Sheridan. 1-1 in the 8th. Ball 1. Oberkfell, who has boarded on the phenomenal for the Giants this year. The veteran with 18 pinch hits. Off speed strike, and the count 1-1. The same duo in the Chicago bullpen, Mitch Williams and Les Lancaster, the right-hander. Ball 2.
Malecki just had 100 pitches. And the head of his hitters throwing strikes.
Fouled away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cubs got a run in the 3rd. Kevin Mitchell lost a fly ball in the sun for an error. Sandberg's double picked him up. In the 7th inning, Andre Dawson slipped going after a fly ball by Clark. Got his glove on it, couldn't hold it. That went as a triple, and Mitchell's fly ball picked him up. And that's it. 1-1, bottom of the 8th. Just inside. Ball 3.
How ironic in a series where runs have been scoring by the bushelful. Comes down to what might be the last game of this series and looks like a 2-1 ball game.
3-2 to Ken Oberkfell. Foul back. Well, you realize the first 2 games it was as if they were just warming up. 11-3 and 9-5. Then they moved out here and it was another story. The scores were 5-4, 6-4, and today 1-1 in the 8th.
Took a long time for the pitchers to get warm, didn't it?
And the chant, OB, OB. 3-2. Foul ball, back and out of play.
Elliott, you're diving over there. That's a second foul ball. It's come back near you. You're not even making a play. Come on. Elliott Galva, Mr. Stats in the booth. He's backing off. That's not like you, Elliott. Take charge over there.
We're in the bottom of the 8th inning in a 1-1 tie. The Cubs desperately trying to stay afloat. Fastball hit in the air to left field. Marvell Wynn is there. 1 out in the 8th. That will bring up Jose Uribe. If you're not keeping score and you wonder about the Cubs in the 9th inning, it will be Salazar, Dunston, and Girardi. And Mike Bielecki is due to bat 4th in the 9th inning.
Another thing with Will Clark getting the triple, the base hit in the 7th, he ensured that he would at least come to the bat in the 9th.
Uribe lined out to center and flied to left. Salazar about even with the bag at 3rd. Grace guarding the line back of the bag at 1st. And Rick Russell out on deck. It could be that Uribe, who takes a strike, will determine Russell's future in the game. It could be if Uribe gets aboard, Rogers thinking of hitting for Russell, otherwise staying with him. Bedrosian down in the pen. 1-1 to Jose Uribe. So this would appear to be a very important at bat for Uribe, and we'll see about whether Roger has to make that decision. On the corner, good fastball. 1-2.
I think Uribe liked that one. That ball looked like it was way outside.
One ball, 2 strikes. Breaking ball got him. So Uribe strikes out. Now let's see about Russell. They are going to hit for him anyway. Candy Maldonado will come up and bat because Oberkfell had hit for Sheridan and they need a right fielder. So Maldonado coming up. That is the 8th strikeout for Mike Bielecki. And here's the Candyman hitting for Russell. So Russell went 8 innings, allowed 1 run, 7 hits, walked 2, struck out 4. So Russell turned in a tremendous effort, and he's been met head on by his former buddy and teammate Mike Bielecki.
Roger Craig going not only with a right fielder to replace Sheridan, somebody that has some pop. Maldonado, good power. He can hit the ball out of here, and that's the kind of pinch hitter you would like with 2 outs and nobody on. Somebody that can pop the ball for you.
Maldonado has had only 5 at-bats against Bielecki all year. He's 0 for 5 in his career going up against a right-hander.
In a situation here with 2 outs, nobody on, if you get Maldonado's going to hit the ball out of the ballpark as a pitcher, make him hit it out to right field. Don't make the mistake on the inside part of the plate where he can use his strength and hit it out to left.
1 ball and no strikes. Salazar very deep at third. The Cubs are not worrying about a bunt from Maldonado, who does everything well but run.
Cubs concerned about the 2-base hit. Outfield is very deep. Infield is deep.
1-0. 1 ball, 1 strike. Maldonado had 7 base hits during the year as a pinch hitter. A couple of years ago, he set a giant record with 17 pinch hits, and that was broken by Ken Oberkfell this year. Dick Cole, Don Zimmer sweating it out. 1-1, bottom of the 8th. Change, got it over. 1-2.
Mike Bielecki has been able to change speeds, so every one of his pitches for strikes, giant hitters have not been able to sit on any one pitch. Changing speeds, pitching inside, outside, both sides of the plate, up and down. He has pitched masterfully today.
1-2. Fastball hit down the right field line, slicing foul and out of play. Maldonado hit 9 home runs for the Giants this year. To repeat, Cubs in the 9th, Salazar, Dunston, and Girardi, and Bielecki due up 4th. One and 2 to Maldonado.
Second time that he's shook his head like that before a pitch, throwing a pitch, and every time that he's done it, throwing a fastball.
1-2. Down and away, ball 2. 2-2. On deck, Brett Butler. So Zimmer has piloted his club this far, a team that experts thought would lose 100 games, and he's gotten them this close. Chopper up along third, foul. 2-2. You have to remember too, when the Cubs left spring training, they had only won 9 games. I think their record was like 9-24 in spring training, and who would have ever believed that the Cubs, from that poor beginning, would wind up winning the National League East and playing the Giants.
A lot of people were very down on them because they made the trade for Mitch Williams, giving up Palmeiro, a 300 hitter.
Deuces wild on Maldonado and a 1-1 tie in the 8th. Breaking ball in the dirt. So he's gone 3-2 to Maldonado. Bielecki, by the way, in striking out 8, has not walked a batter. Russell went into the 8th inning before he walked a batter, and then he walked another one intentionally. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Big pitch. Breaking ball, hit foul. So put that in your notebook. Bielecki coming back, 3-2 breaking ball.
A lot of confidence in the breaking ball because they've been able to get it over most of the day. Now 3-2, he threw a bad one. Here you see, boy, Maldonado, a good cut on that too.
We had 2 sequences of 12 pitches in this series. One to Mark Grace, and then last night to Matt Williams. This is the 9th pitch to Maldonado. Lifted foul out of play. So we go to 10 pitches. One, bottom of the 8th, 2 out, bases empty. 3-2 to Candy Maldonado, hitting for Rick Russell. Ball 4, off speed, and it appeared as if he held on to the ball much too long. His release point was so late, he almost threw it in the dirt.
Well, lucky on that last pitch, the breaking ball, you got a sense that, listen, I have a big, strong right-handed hitter up here. I've given him about 9 or 10 pitches. You know, I either make a perfect pitch on the outside part of the plate right in the corner, or I walk him. I don't care. One of the things that Steve Wilson did not do last night, Matt Williams had fouled so many pitches off. His timing got better and better and better. A lot of times the base on balls against the power hitter is not the worst thing in the world that can happen to you. Remember, Maldonado, as Vinny said, does not have decent speed.
Candy at first, 2 down, and Brett Butler the batter. Grace, however, is still on the bag, and they'll try to take a step away from Maldonado, hoping to convert it, if anything, into a force play at second. Butler is fouled out, grounded out, struck out, a man who has built a reputation, and deservedly so, of being a fine bunter, and he has not tried to bunt today. Ball 1. Bilecki under tremendous pressure, and might very well have spent a lot of petrol in the 7th inning when Clark tripled, and then he had to face Mitchell, Williams, and Kennedy. Zimmer satisfied with what he sees, and the count 1 ball and no strikes. However, Bilecki will be making his 24th pitch this inning, and we're late in the game, in the 8th. One 1-0 to Brett Butler. Fastball, and it's in there. It's the first time he's come back with that for a while after nibbling with Maldonado. 1-1.
Cup defense playing to the left. You're certainly in this situation. Try not to give Butler something that'll be able to pull. Most of the time in his entire series, he's been trying to go to left field, especially with 2 strikes. But the book on him is pitch him away, play him away. Salazar in close at third.
1-1. Ball 2. On deck, Robbie Thompson.
The defense in this situation in the outfield has to try to prevent the double. Runner on first, a possibility of scoring certainly on a 2-base hit. And you have to cheat in the outfield and back up just a step or 2 to protect the 2-base hit.
2-1 to Butler. Two balls, 1 strike, 2 out. Fouled away, 2-2. So we get back to a Deuces Wild situation. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Maldonado at first, bottom of the 8th in a 1-1 tie.
Talking about Brett Butler going to left field with 2 strikes, which he's tried to do the entire series, and it doesn't look like he's been trying to drive the ball that way either. He's just been trying to push the ball to left field. He hasn't had any real good aggressive swings to left field the entire series. Marvell went very deep and left.
Maldonado takes his biggest lead in the sequence. He's not going, and it's ball 3. So that's an edge for the Giants. Maldonado will be under a full head of steam, and Grace is telling Mike Bilecki he's coming off the bag. So when you get down to the nitty-gritty like this, you hate to go to a full count. It's a slight advantage, but this late in the game, a slight advantage can be the difference between winning and losing. And the crowd is up again. For Bilecki, the 28th pitch in the inning. Maldonado goes, and it's fouled away, though he'll make 29.
This is a situation where the first baseman would really like to know what the pitch is. If it looks like a pitch he's not going to have hit at him, he's got to stay there and try and keep Maldonado as close to first base as he can. Maldonado's way off on the delivery.
3-2. 2 down, 8th inning, a 1-1 tie. Maldonado goes, ball 4. Don Zimmer going to the mound, and that might be enough. 30 pitches in the inning, and Mike Bielecki's needle might very well be on empty. He got Oberkfell and Uribe, nibbled with Maldonado after getting 2 quick strikes, went 3-2 and walked him. Came right back to nibble with Butler 3-2 and walk him. He's made 127 pitches in the game, and Zimmer wants to find out, is there anything left in the tank?
The pitcher will tell you when he's run out of gas, Vinny, exactly when that needle is on 0. The pitches are up and away. 2 pitches in that sequence to Butler, high in the strike zone, up and away to the left-hander. You got to know how to buy a little bit extra time for your arm. When it gets fatigued, it doesn't get through, and you don't drive the ball to home plate, and you have to buy a little extra time with your left leg. Zimmer convinced that he's all right.
Well, Robbie Thompson, a fastball hitter coming up. He is grounded to Grace, popped to short and flied to left. Maldonado at second, Butler at first. 2 out in the 8th in a 1-1 tie. The Cubs trying to hang on for dear life, and the Giants trying to win it. Breaking ball in the dirt. A good save by Girardi. Boy, that's the last thing he wants to do. Throw one away now with Will Clark on deck.
A little bit of fatigue, and sometimes a pitcher will try to overthrow the ball. Certainly Thompson, first ball fastball hitter. Bielecki wanted to start him off with a breaking ball, tried to overthrow it.
1-0. Low again, ball 2. Boy, what a sweat job this is. 1-1, bottom of the 8th. Maldonado, the possible winning run, trying to take as much of a lead as possible, and he can take a big lead. Ball 3. And waiting on deck is Don Zimmer's nightmare, Will Clark. And they're up and at him again. 3-0 to Robbie Thompson. Ball 4. Leo DeRocher used to have an expression, stick a fork in him, he's done. And that's the story for Bielecki. With 2 out, he walked Maldonado, he walked Butler, he walks Thompson. Now, will we have the classic confrontation? Will we have Mitch Williams pitching to Will Clark? Maybe. Mitch Webster is coming in, and the Cubs will make a couple of changes. Andre Dawson, who made the last out in the 8th inning, will come out of the game. And Mitch Williams will go in Dawson's spot. Mitch Webster will bat 9th, and the Cubs are hanging by a thread with 2 out, bases loaded in the 8th in a 1-1 tie. Well, you bet we'll be right back. I guess maybe we should have figured it would come down to this. Will Clark with a chance to win it, the bases loaded, 2 out, and the wild thing, Mitch Williams on the mound. Tremendous pressure on Williams to throw strikes, and he's had problems with the leadoff hitter. There's a strike. Mike Bielecki turned in a tremendous effort, only to walk 3 in a row after 2 are out in the 8th inning. 0-1 to Clark. He has singled and tripled, fouled away, and the count 0-2. We wondered when we would see Mitch Williams. Where was Mitch Williams? We saw him briefly once, but he is center stage now.
Cubs are finally moving Jerome Walton over in center field. Park is trying to go to left field every time against the left-handers.
Ball one, and Girardi, of course, handling that hard stuff from an erratic left-hander. There is tremendous pressure on young Joe to stay with it. Maldonado is at third. Butler is at second. Thompson is at first. And Will Clark hitting .632 in the series. High foul down the line and out of play, and it's still 1-2. Remember, they're still in ninth inning, and the Cubs will have Salazar, Dunston, and Girardi. One ball, two strikes. Foul back. In every important series, there comes that very important moment where it's difficult to breathe, difficult to swallow. This is that moment. Line drive, base hit. In comes one. In comes Butler. Going to third is Thompson. 3-1, San Francisco. Ball one to Kevin Mitchell, with Les Lancaster having replaced a downcast, inconsolable Mitch Williams. But Mitch has to remember what Butler said about Will Clark. Remember when Butler was asked the difference between Kevin Mitchell and Will Clark. Brett Butler said Mitchell is a good player having a great year. Clark is a great player. And Clark, as great players will do, in the great pressure of the moment, delivered the base hit to put the Giants out in front. 3-1 in the eighth. On the corner, 1-2. 3 runs, 4 hits for the Giants. 1 run, 7 hits for the Cubs. Bottom of the eighth. 1-2. 2-2. In the inning, Oberkfell flied to left and Uribe struck out, and then suddenly Bielecki had run out of gas after a magnificent performance. He walked 3 in a row. Had the Cubs done any timely hitting, and they had the opportunities, he would have had a margin for error. Ball 3. But the Cubs wasted opportunities in the first inning, in the fourth inning, in the sixth inning, and in the eighth inning. And as they teach you in kindergarten, waste not, want not. And the Cubs have wasted, and they're wanting. Tom Seaver is on his way to the San Francisco Giant clubhouse, and Mike Schmidt has moved over to the Chicago Cub clubhouse as we try to cover the entire story on and off the field. There's ball 4 to load him up again. So the Giants, much to the delight of this huge crowd, have received 4 walks and a base hit. to take a 3-1 lead. And the jackpot man is coming up again. Matt Williams, who has hit 3 grand slams in his career, one last year and twice this year. Andre Dawson thinking of what might have been, and for Andre, he'll be carrying a weight throughout the winter. Fastball, ball 1. To repeat, Salazar, Dunston, and Girardi in the 9th inning for the Cubs. But the Giants now are riding the crest of a wave of tremendous emotion here. High pop fly. Now let's see. Sandberg and Dunston. Dunston is calling. He's got it. However, thanks to 4 walks and a single by Will Clark, the Giants are 3 outs away from the World Series. Candlestick Park, a sea of emotion. 62,084 screaming for the sheer joy of making noise. As the Giants lead the Cubs 3-1, Candy Maldonado, who started off the 8th inning rally with a walk, is now in right field. Steve Bedrosian will be the new pitcher. So Bedrosian, who went head-to-head last night with the bases loaded in the 9th and struck out Andre Dawson, is now given the ball, asked to save this one for Rick Russell. Salazar, Dunston, and Girardi coming up. And this becomes somewhat of a bittersweet moment for all of us at NBC. It has nothing to do with the final score. It has everything to do with the fact, should the Cubs lose, this will be our last game on NBC Sports. Ball 1. The Cubs, plagued by first baseman Steve Garvey in 1984, hounded and plagued by Will Clark in 1989. 1-1. There have been a lot of dedicated people trying to capture the flavor and the story of every game ever televised on NBC, and to each and every one of them a heartfelt thanks. Ball 2, 2-1. Salazar grounded to third, single to right, grounded to second, 1 for 3. He's hit in all 5 games. On the corner, 2-2. An interesting thought. The World Series will be dedicated to the memory of A. Bartlett Giamatti. And if Oakland and the Giants play the World Series, a ground ball back to third. Williams gets rid of it in a hurry to get it. 1 away. And now, as it looks like the Giants will play Oakland in the memory of Bartlett Giamatti, the 4 letters here in the San Francisco and Bay Area that mean so much to the people who live here. The Bay Area Rapid Transit, B-A-R-T. Sean Dunston hit back to the box, grounded into a double play, single to left in the 7th inning. Curtis Wilkerson is on deck to hit for Girardi. A strike. So the Cubs are frustrated and the Giants are euphoric. The Giants have reason to be happy, but the Cubs really do not have to feel let down. They had a magnificent year, considering how they turned the tables on the experts. A fly ball to Kevin Mitchell and Brett Butler. It will be Mitchell. And the Giants are 1 out away from their 2nd World Series, the other one in 1962. And what was it Studs Terkel said about Chicago and the Cubs? He said they're more endearing when they lose. They have a loser's quality. And what was it Mike Royko said? That the Cubs, like life itself, is a losing cause. That's why they have cemeteries in Wrigley Field. So this will add to the lore of the Cubs with their great fans They are 1 out away from going down again. And for the Giants, who have had ghosts of past times, they're 1 out away from shaking them loose. They lost the series in '62. They lost the league championship series in '71. They lost the league championship series in '87. But the Giants now are 1 out away from brushing away all those cobwebs. 1-1 to Curtis Wilkerson. And the Cubs are down to their last strike. Like Kansas City, they've gone about as far as they can go. But not San Francisco. One ball, 2 strikes. Little looper into left field, base hit. So Curtis Wilkerson hits a flare into left field, a 2-out reprieve in the 9th inning. For the Cubs, their 8th hit, but they have left 7 men on today. The Oakland A's won yesterday and clinched with only 4 hits against Toronto, and the Giants are trying to clinch it today with only 4 hits. And the batter is Mitch Webster. Webster hit .257 during the regular year with 3 home runs. No balls, 1 strike. Line drive, base hit to center. And the Cubs, as they have done all year, refuse to go quietly into that good night. 2-out singles, and the batter will be Jerome Walton. For Chicago, 9 hits. Everyone in the starting lineup, with the exception of Andre Dawson, a base hit. And once again, there's the thought about Andre shouldering all the pain and the frustration of the series. The man who has contributed so much to the Chicago Cubs. Jerome Walton singled, aboard on an error, grounded out and walked. Line drive into center, base hit. Here comes Wilkerson to score. Stopping is Webster, and the Cubs refuse to quit. It is 3-2 San Francisco. Boy, it has been a remarkable Cub team this year, and Roger Craig is not taking anything for granted. He's going out to see Bedrosian. With 2 out, Bilecki walked 3 and then gave up the base hit. And with 2 out, Bedrosian has given up 3 consecutive singles. The Giants 3 runs on 4 hits. The Cubs 2 runs on 10 hits. What must be so frustrating for the Cubs, during the regular year, they left the fewest number of men on base in the National League. And they have squandered base hits like a sailor on shore lead in this series. And the batter will be Ryne Sandberg. With Webster, the tying run at second. Mark Grace turning his cap inside out, the so-called rally hat. Sandberg struck out, doubled in a run, popped up, and sacrificed. It was so surprising to see Sandberg sacrifice in the 8th inning. He had sacrificed once all year. Breaking ball hit to Robbie Thompson, and that's it. If there is one thing tougher than losing, it's being forced to sit there and watch the winners. We'll follow the story into the locker rooms in a moment. And we will be right back. The San Francisco Giants and the Chicago Cubs have finished their work for the year against each other. For the Giants, it now means on against the Oakland A's in the World Series, and the Bay Area Series will become the 12th Metropolitan Series in baseball history. Ironically, the first Metropolitan World Series involved the Chicago White Sox and the Chicago Cubs back in 1906. New York pretty much had a handle on it. 1944, a war year, St. Louis had a Metropolitan Series. In 1971, the A's won the title and lost to Baltimore. The Giants won the West but lost to Pittsburgh. The A's smarting from the defeat last year to the Dodgers. The Giants lost their only World Series as San Francisco Giants to the New York Yankees. So it is a new page for the 1989 World Series. And now let's go down to the Giant clubhouse and to Tom Seaver.
Thank you very much. Of course, the National League champions now, Roger Craig, Bob Lurie, the owner of the San Francisco Giants, Al Rosen, the general manager. And it's my pleasure to introduce Bill White, the president of the National League, who is going to present the championship trophy to this trio who have done a magnificent job with the San Francisco Giants. Bill?
Tom, this is the Warren Giles Trophy, and Roger and Bob and Al, it gives me great pleasure to give the San Francisco Giants this trophy today.
Well, it gives us more pleasure. Bill, to accept it. It's a great thrill. Thank you so much.
I'll give it to you then.
Okay, we're all going to share. We're a team.
We'll let the man in the middle hold it, right?
Okay, yeah, with at least two strong guys next to me, but we're a team. These are the two best in the world, and I couldn't be happier.
Al, you got to be very happy the way you put this team together and the way they've been resilient and the way that they have won. They won the way they did all year long with their pitching out of the bullpen, with the defense and the power.
Well, that attests to Roger's skill in handling and pitching staff, and I want to say the Cubs never gave up. Lecky was fantastic today. Don Zimmer and the Cubs did great. We're fortunate, very fortunate to be here.
Second time, Roger Craig, your ball club in the last 3 years has won the division. Now you're not turned away. 87 was frustrating. This time you went out and you got the trophy. You must feel very proud for your ball club.
You know, Tom, a lot of things have happened in my life, a lot of great things, but I think this is one of the happiest moments, you know, to be managing in the World Series and to be the manager of this great ball club, and the way they come back and the way they play. You know, I take my hat off to them. They're an outstanding ball club. There's a lot of people out there listening and watching that we want to thank you for all the support and everything. And it's great to be the champions. Now we've got to go to see what we can do with Oakland.
We know that there must be a touch of sadness, as we talked about through this entire series, because of your closeness with Don Zimmer. There could only be one winner between the two of you.
Well, the first thing we said before it all started, I said, Don, one of us going to manage in the World Series. And nobody really loses here. Don's a great manager. What a magnificent job he did with that ball club all year. Nobody expects him to go higher than third or fourth place, but I take my hat off to the Cubs. Big battles, and they were very tough. It was a lot tougher than what it seemed like.
One of those things that I noticed, you had a lot of difficulty with Mark Grace getting him out. The biggest adjustment I saw was how you pitched to Ryan Sandberg. The first couple of games, a lot of fastballs. After that, a lot of breaking balls. I think that was a big difference in the series, how you began to pitch to Sandberg.
Well, we know he's a fastball hitter, and sometimes we got behind him with breaking balls, and we had to come in and he hit us. Well, we got him out with breaking balls, and that's why I left Bedrosian in there, because, you know, Bedrosian's got a good hard slider, and that's what he got him out on.
What do you think about the Oakland Athletics?
Well, they're a great team, you know, but we're a good ball club, too. We're just going to have another big dog fight. I can't wait.
All right. Congratulations, Roger. Nice going. Hello, Will. Nice going. Congratulations. Come up here. Get in the middle, big boy. You are center stage. A lot of people don't know who this man is if you live on the East Coast, but he is a hero on the West Coast. It is my pleasure. We're going to present Will Clark with the National League Championship trophy. This is Matt Murphy from Chevrolet. Matt, it's my pleasure.
Congratulations on an outstanding series.
Thank
Unbelievable.
You, Thank you.
On behalf, go ahead.
I appreciate Chevrolet sponsoring us and giving this award.
Great. Well, on behalf of Chevrolet, it's my pleasure to be able to present to you the most valuable player trophy for this year's National League Championship Series. Outstanding job. In addition to the trophy, we're also going to donate a 1990 Chevy Astro van you can donate to your favorite charity. Congratulations again, and best of luck in the World Series.
I appreciate that, and thank you again to Chevrolet and United Way. You're going to get a van. Thank you.
Very good.
Appreciate that.
I want you to take a moment with us. We can't see the replay, but you can talk about it. The big base hit of the game today, bases loaded against Mitch Williams. You fought off a couple of pitches that were tough and got a pitch to handle and drove the ball up the middle.
I was just trying to hang in there. You know, Mitch is a gamer. I mean, you got to tip your cap to him. I mean, he's done it all year long. He's come in clutch situations and gotten guys out, and he does that by going right at people, and I got to tip my cap to him. It just so happened I fought off a few tough pitches, and I happened to get one out over the plate, and luckily it fell in. But, you know, I tip my cap to the Cubs because they played an excellent series. I mean, Mark Grace had probably one of the most outstanding series I've seen. I mean, every time they need a clutch hit, he got it. And I want to thank my teammates, City of San Francisco. And how about that Babe Ridge World Series?
How about the home run in game number 1, the huge game that you had, first game in Wrigley Field? I mean, it's a career day, career evening that you had the Grand Slam in Wrigley Field.
Well, the Grand Slam was great, but this is the sort of icing on the cake because this is the one that puts you over the hump and puts you in the series. And game 1 was great, but I like game 5 a lot better.
A lot more fun today.
A lot better.
One of the things a lot of people don't realize, a complete player. I mean, you made outstanding defensive plays on the field. Throws a second, throws a third, throwed to home, more than just a slugger.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I got to credit Bob Lillis with that. He's worked a lot with my defense, and I give him and Robbie Thompson all the credit because Robbie's made my job a lot easier over on first base with as much ground as he covers, and I tip my cap to those gentlemen for the great work that they've done.
Very quickly, what do you think of the Oakland pitching staff?
They got a great pitching staff and a great offense, but it's no different than the Chicago Cubs. We got to go out there, we got to play our own ball game, and hopefully we'll wind up on top.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, Vinny, the word from the National League champion San Francisco Giants in their locker room, a very happy spot. Back to you, Vinny.
In 1982, in football, there was the catch, as they call it in San Francisco, the winning touchdown from Joe Montana to Dwight Clark. And in 1989, the thrill, the hit by first baseman of the Giants, Will Clark. Since this is indeed a sad moment for us as we sever our relationship with baseball for a while at least, we would like to ask your indulgence and let us take this time to thank a lot of people. Terry O'Neill, John J. Filippelli, Kenneth Edmondson, Andy Rosenberg, John Gonzalez, Marilyn Altman, Ken Harvey, Mike Stramiski, Lenny Stucker, Les Dennis, Doug Gravert, Tommy Roy, Ricky Diamond, Brian Sheriff, Bucky Guntz, Kevin Smolin, Jeff Simon, Ramon Plaza, Joe Michaels, Steve Rosen, Fran Bellini, Ellis Toney, Elliot Kalb, Steve Horn, and a special thanks to Harry Coyle. And to all the marvelous and wonderful cameramen and technicians who have represented NBC over the 42 years of baseball broadcasts. And I think we could sum it all up. Each and every one of us, we gave it our best shot. As did the Giants and the Cubs. And it's the Giants who go to the World Series, beating the Cubs 3-2. And we get the BART Series, the Bay Area Rapid Transit, the series that will be played in memory of A. Bartlett Giamatti. There's a sweetness to that thought. It's over for us. Time to surrender the stage, and the Giants have won the pennant. For Tom Seaver and for Mike Schmidt, this is Vin Scully saying so long for the last time from San Francisco.
The preceding has been a presentation of NBC Sports.
Come up short. Let's get right to it and show you how it went down. A spectacular performance from Mike Bilecki. 7 2/3, giving up just 3 hits, but he began to tire. There he walks the bases full. Don Zimmer comes out to make the move. Mitch Williams is in. 2 out, a 1-2 count, bases loaded. Williams delivers to Will Clark, who drills one up the middle, scoring Candy Maldonado, followed by Brett Butler to give San Francisco a 3-1 advantage. The Cubs fought back to make it 3-2 and still had 2 men on base as the Giants celebrated. When Ryne Sandberg came to the plate and grounded out to Robbie Thompson to end it, the Giants win it by a final of 3-2. Back now with Jerome Walton in the locker room. Jerome, this is quite an experience for you, win or lose.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was something that a lot of people don't get a chance to do, is they play in the playoffs, and somehow I got a chance to play my first year.
Now, you guys were in it most of the way, but you left a lot of people on base, and some people were questioning Don Zimmer leaving Bilecki in that long, but you know, it's all by the boards now.
Well, Bilecki been throwing good all year. You know, you got to let him stand there and go with it, because the guy been pitching good all year, and he deserved to stay in there, I think. And like you said, we left a lot of runners on base today, and somehow that's what cost us the game, I guess.
What have you learned from this series that you were unaware of during the regular season?
Well, I can say a lot of things that I learned. You know, I can just go on and on, but I learned a lot this year, you know, from the season and also this playoffs. You know, one thing I can say is just don't never give up, like we didn't do all year. We didn't never give up, and we kept fighting the whole year, and somehow we came up on the short end, but we're here, and then we can do about it.
Jerome, thanks for a fantastic season.
Thank you.
All right, Jerome Walton. Tom Scheer standing by with Mark Grace. Come on in, Mark. Mark, this certainly turned out to be a terrific showcase for the 2 best first basemen in the National League. You know, the media made it a real one-on-one battle with Will Clark. I know it's hard for you to put that into perspective right now.
Well, Will Clark proved with that, well, throughout the whole series, but with the last at bat, why he's the best player in baseball, in my opinion. I don't even think it's arguable. He's the last guy I wanted to see coming up to the plate right there. You know, I had all the confidence in the world in Mitch. He's been the guy that bailed us out all year long, and you know, Clark was just better today, that's all.
You were 11 for 17 in the series. It seemed every time they needed a clutch hit, you got it. You reached base with some walks. You look back on this, can you be satisfied with what you did, even though the team loses 4 games to 1?
Well, I can be satisfied with what I did, but I obviously didn't do enough. You know, it's a sad ending to just a wonderful season. I couldn't be prouder of my teammates. I couldn't be prouder of our coaching staff. I'm sure they feel the same way. I couldn't be happier for Fry and Zimmer. They made the moves to make this a great ball club, and we are a very good ball club. We just couldn't quite get over the hump out here.
As we pushed and shoved out there, Don Zimmer wanted the doors closed, and what did he say to you guys before we all came in here?
Oh, he just wished us a wonderful winter, and he thanked us for a great year.
There's a school of thought that the Cubs were a good team this year, that had a lot of breaks and had a lot of key performances that all came together, and that next year it'll be even tougher for this team to accomplish this. As you look into the future, if that's possible now, what has this team learned and how has it matured through this process?
Well, this team's learned to battle. You know, there's 2 outs in the 9th, and Bedrosian on the mound, and Wilkerson gets a 2-strike hit. Mitch Webster comes off the bench and whacks a base hit. The Rookie of the Year, Walton, comes on, bang. You know, it went down to the wire. You know, this team never gives up, and we weren't about to give up today. And that's the mark of a championship team, is never say die. And I think the New York Mets did it for 1988. They were always coming back, and maybe we were that team this year that had the ability to come back and get some wins when everybody counted us out.
Well, one other note, on a personal note, win or lose, you and this team, you've been cooperative and you've been upfront guys all year, and we do appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mark, thanks for the thrills.
Go Bears.
Yeah, go Bears is right. Ronnie Carroll will be back with more live from the Candlestick Park locker room in a minute.
All right, thanks,
Great
Mark.
attitude, too. Thanks very much, Mark. I think as we wrap up this baseball season, we should switch to Wrigley Field. Marianne Bergerson is there live. Marianne?
Ron, everywhere in Wrigley Field today, you could hear just one more chance. Let the Cubs come back here, and maybe they could sweep the Giants, but that was not to be. Still, the fans, when they watched today, they were hoping for the best because they are eternal optimists. Cub fans in Murphy's bleachers watched like expectant parents, anxious but optimistic with a one-run lead early on. The Columbus Day holiday gave baseball fans an excuse to skip work, order a hot dog, sip a few cold ones, and hope for the best.
We're three of the original Murphy bleacher buns, and so we want to be back up there on the rooftop come Wednesday.
Fans hope to rewrite Cub history.
As painful as it has been over the many years, I wouldn't have it any other way. And I want to see and know what it feels like to be world champions. That's why we're here cheering them on.
Vendors like Bill Dowell are taking it easy, while he's praying for at least one more day to cash in on Cub Mania. Sunday night's loss is hard to shake.
It's a day of mourning. It's like the day after the burial.
Those who depend on Cub fans for sales have one eye on the game and say the playoffs have been sweet.
It's just wild. I mean, it's packed. We have to move the racks back because there's so many people. It's crazy.
While outside the friendly confines, all is quiet during game time. Inside favorite Cubby sports bars, the fans are roaring with every Giant out.
I think the Cub fans won't give up because all year they've been coming back with no outs, like the San Francisco game in July. They came back in the ninth inning, came back and won the game. So I think at any time this team can explode and win the series.
Not this time, even though the Cub fans are dejected. They say last spring they never expected to see the playoffs. So while no one likes to lose, they are proud of the Cubs, and they say, bring on the Bears. Ron and Carol?
All right, thank you, Mary Ann. We should be proud of the Cubs. We go right now to Ray Suarez, who's at a downtown gathering spot. Ray?
Carol, while Mary Ann just got to spend some time with a holiday crowd, I'm with the suit and tie guys. I'm at Alcock's in the shadow of the Merc, the Board of Trade, and the Midwest Stock Exchange. And Chicagoans, those of us who did have to work, had to be big kids today. While the school kids stayed at home and watched, the big kids had to figure out how to follow the game. Hundreds of thousands of Chicagoans still had to go to work today, doing the bewildering number of jobs they do, and still finding a way to keep up with the balls and strikes. Curtis Martin brings the game with him as he delivers packages around the city.
Yeah, we need three. We need this one, and we come back to Wrigley Field, and when we come back to Wrigley Field, we'll be able to, I think we can pull it out.
The people who run Silo at Marshall Fields would be happy if the TV department was this full all the time. But today it's a convenient place to update the score if you're just passing through.
I was downtown, I didn't know where I could go to see the game, and then it hit me. There'd be several TVs down here.
There aren't any televisions in Marshall Field's collection department where Dan really works, so he heads to electronics for his lunch hour.
Upstairs, yeah, everybody walking around is always asking and trying to find out what's going on.
At a Loop discount store, a 4-inch screen keeps the staff up to date.
Everybody hope.
Yeah, we hope. Here's a happy group. The Cubs are winning, nothing's on fire, and they're getting holiday pay for being here. But they know the good times could end in a flash, either with a fire or a few giant runs. Larry Bush is on an outing with his sons. His cherished vacation snaps cover this unlikely portable radio. But it works.
So small enough to carry around and not bother a lot of other people.
And I hope Larry didn't have to get the bad news over his family picture radio there. Everybody here isn't necessarily a Cub fan, but they are baseball fans. Does this great ninth inning in this game, where they almost pulled it out, take a little of the sting out of the loss?
Great game. Classic confrontation. Williams versus Clark. Couldn't ask for a better game. Best 4-1 series I've ever seen in my life.
Do you think the second guessing has already started on Zimmer and Bielecki?
Easy game to second guess. Zimmer played it exactly as I would have.
Oh, well. You would have lost too then. This guy says he's a Cub fan. Now, you're not too optimistic about next year.
Well, nobody's been able to repeat in the National League in a while, so I've got concerns, and I just hope that this defeat didn't hurt them for next year.
Before he said fourth place Cubs. Okay, reporting live from Alcock's, Ray Suarez, Channel 5 News.
All right, thanks very much, Ray. We'll get back to San Francisco and have more on the Cubs when we continue our coverage in just a moment.
That's why they're champions. They
mean, if you look back through the series, I think they got a lot of their scoring has come with 2 outs, and that shows the quality of the ball club that they have. You know, it's never say die, and they just go out there and come at you from all ways, and you know, I just wish them well.
I guess you can say the same thing about the Cubs. You almost pulled it out in the ninth.
Well, you know, we have everyone in here shouldn't hang their heads, but we're very disappointed right now. But and there's a lot of good guys on this team that had tremendous years and can go home and really think about it that we had a hell of a season, and you know, but the Giants had a better season and they deserve it.
Okay, that was Mike Bilecki. Now we have Howard Sudbury out in San Francisco on the field, and it's a little bit more quiet out there right now, Howard.
Yeah, Johnny, it is quiet, but not many of the fans have left as of yet because they've been putting the Giant interviews up on the big scoreboard out there from the press room inside. The champagne is flowing, such a contrast. You heard Mike Bilecki. I talked to him a minute ago. He sat in the dugout for 10 or 15 minutes after the game and didn't move. Mark Grace walked out of there with tears in his eyes. A tough situation for the Chicago Cubs as it ended, and it seemed like so many of their other games, Johnny. They came battling back in the top of the ninth inning, but couldn't get the job done this time. Mike Bilecki said that he wishes they go on and win the World Series now, the Giants, because they came up with the big hits, but he did a good job. It just didn't work out the right way.
Okay, Howard, we will come back to you at 5:45 with some more interviews, okay?
Okay, Johnny.
Howard Sudbury out there in San Francisco, and boy, you have to hand it to Will Clark. Mitch Williams had him 0-2, 1-2. He fouled off about 3 or 4 and then finally got the hit. He wound up 13 for 21 for the series.
Wow.
Obviously will be most valuable player of the series. Of course, Mark Grace had a great series, too. We'll have more on the Cubs and the Chicago Bears coming up later.
Weren't throwing for quite a while. You were watching the ball game.
I was loose. I was definitely loose. That's why I was standing there. I knew that I was going to face Clark if he came to the plate, and I was plenty ready for him.
In this series, Mitch, Clark and the others got their base hits. They got their RBIs. At one point, they had 16 out of the 18 runs scored, were driven in by the big three, if you will. What had you guys talked about before the series and during the series about how to pitch these people?
You have to make pitches to them. I mean, you aren't going to get them out one way consistently. You have to get them out a number of different ways, and there's no one set magic cure to get Will Clark and Kevin Mitchell out. So you have to go out there and mix your pitches, and they played very well. I'm not going to take anything away from them. They played outstanding.
This was an improbable year for the Cubs, an upset year to get to the National League playoffs. 3 close games here in San Francisco. The bases were loaded after 2 were out in this 9th inning today before Ryan ended the game. When you look back on this, will you remember the comebacks and the heart that the team showed, or will you remember the fact that you guys didn't get to the World Series?
I'm not going to remember. I certainly won't remember that last pitch. I mean, I've had more fun this year playing in the Chicago Cubs uniform than I've ever had playing baseball, and I'm going to remember everything that's happened. I'm going to remember Mark Grace's home runs, everything. It's been great.
Mitch, thanks a lot for rocking Wrigley Field for us, and thanks for joining us during this series. All right, Mitch Williams for Tom Sherry, I'm Mark Giangreco. Ron Akira will be back at 6 with more. For now, Mark Giangreco live at Candlestick Park.
Yeah.
Great.
I wish.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Mark.
Joining us now is baseball great Jimmy Pearsall, who's been helping us analyze this thing from the start. Had to be a great year for you because you worked with some of these rookie kids in spring training this year. You see them develop. You see them have a wonderful year like this. And then this last sad moment.
Yes, I think I remember driving in a car a few moments ago thinking about sitting next to Zimmer outside the dugout in spring training, and we were terrible. We were terrible trying to figure out how the heck are we going to be able to be respectable. Then I had this kind of a year. The fans really wanted to win, but I think they got to realize that this has been a super year, and I think as far as I'm concerned, all these young players are going to be better next year. The experience in the playoffs has got to be outstanding for them to make them better players next year.
The heartbreak of this game seemed to be, for me and for a lot of other people, Andre Dawson, because he is a consummate athlete and cares deeply and couldn't do it.
Well, Carol, you know, baseball brings you to your knees. The base on balls, the player that wants to play so well, he was a good player, but all of a sudden he loses it for about a couple of weeks, and this is a couple of weeks he's been bad. But let me tell you, he gave you your all, and I would have wished he could have pitched had Sandberg hitting behind Grace, because he was going so well, to get him out of the situations he was getting into, because where he was hitting, every play was big for him.
Jimmy, thanks very much. One other thing, it's been a team full of class. This really has been a bunch of nice people all year long. Let me tell you that this year, the Cubs did not do it. Our dreams disappeared today, but like the spring rains following last year's drought, the Cubs this year really were a welcome relief.
Don't give up, 'cause you have